time is 10 o'clock. A quorum appears to be present, and I call this meeting of the International Bay Radio Association Board of Directors to order. I would like to welcome all of you to this meeting and to Golden, Colorado, the site of Rocky Mountain Regional Rodeo number 34. Also my host association, home association, so welcome to Denver, to each of you. Today, I have no new members of the board to introduce, and I am not aware of any alternates to introduce.
There are two alternates.
Who do we have as alternates?
Alan Thomas for Cotton States.
And I don't see Alan in the room at present.
And Michael Norman for KSGRA.
Michael, well, welcome to the meeting as an alternate for KSGRA. We're happy to have you with us today. Ron, if you would please proceed with the roll call. And for everyone, there is one sheet for you to sign in if you're a member of the board, another if you are a guest today. And Michael, you sign in on the board sheet since you're in that place today.
Bruce Grove.
Here.
Jason Bernard.
Here.
Here. David Hill.
Here.
Bob Pimentel.
Here.
Tom Lott.
Here.
Roger Chapp.
Here.
Alan Thomas. Lisa Smith.
Here.
Barbara Bug.
Here.
Bruce Roby.
Present.
Joy DiDizio. Michael Norman.
Here.
David Hallwood. Kenneth Hall. Guy Puglisi. Brian Helander.
Present.
Gene Frakes.
Here.
Franklin Thompson.
Here.
Candy Pratt.
Here.
Merlin Jackson. Chuck Browning. Terry Covington.
Present.
There is a quorum.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the rules of debate as per those used at convention? So moved. It is moved by Guy Puglisi. Second. Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, all in favor of adopting the rules of debate, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes. The rules of debate are adopted. We have the approval or the consideration of the minutes of the Board of Directors meeting of May 6th in Palm Springs. Is there a motion to approve? Terry, is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the board meeting minutes of May 6th, 2016. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes. The minutes are approved. In my remarks today, first and foremost, I want to say how pleased I am that we are able to be together once again and conduct the business of our association and enjoy a rodeo weekend together. This is our first time together face-to-face since the events in Florida. And it's been several weeks, and of course, our immediate reactions and passions have had an opportunity to calm down, but nonetheless, it is a reminder to all of us here and out watching at home that it is a gift to be able to spend this time with one another. And let us treasure it while we can. Because although in January when I closed the university, I spoke about the fact how when we began, we didn't always know that those present with us would be with us the next time because of the beginning of the AIDS epidemic, but life is still uncertain even today. And while we have it, we should treasure it and treasure one another. As far as that incident is concerned, clearly it struck at the heart of our community. And for many of us, deeply personally, whether or not we knew somebody who was there, knew somebody who knew somebody was there, or not. This is our family that was attacked in a very direct and brutal way. And I think it's difficult for any of us not to feel that, although I certainly won't speak to what each of you experienced. However, from watching Facebook and the events and people that I was around in that time, it's very clear to me that it allowed us not only to come to grips personally with realities of our struggle as members of this community in the broader world, but also to find a voice that perhaps we may not have had before to help share that experience with those around us who do not understand the struggle and the pain and the challenge that we can face every day in our lives simply by being who we are. usually I'm somebody who's quite able to, express himself. And in the light of that particular instance, I found myself without a coherent voice for a while. Which I find unusual, but I mean, it's a human reaction, I certainly understand it, but just the raw and visceral nature of that experience for me was just among the most intense experiences of my life. Since that time in the world, there have been a number of other serious attacks in other venues. But this one strikes us particularly because it was us, our family. There's speculation was the motivation religious fervor? Was it an act of domestic terror? Was it a hate crime? Was it a self-hate crime? I don't know the answer, and frankly, it's probably a mix of many things, which we may never know. But what I do know is it's given us an opportunity to remind ourselves of who we are, of the importance of what we do. We've been at this over 30 years. This is 40 years for Gabriel. And of course, the struggles within our community and to find acceptance in the broader world go longer than that. Even though Stonewall was 40 years, this is the Stonewall of today's generation in a completely different and more brutal way. And it will help give rise to a new sense of activism and self-searching and perhaps even militancy within our community. But remember, we are about changing stereotypes and providing a place of acceptance for all. It's a natural reaction to become insular and reactive to an incident like this, where we want to build up walls, where we want to circle the wagons. But who we are is an association that works to build bridges, to foster understanding and acceptance of us by others, but of others by us. So let us remember that's part of our character and not react in such a way that we begin to push away or push out people whom we should incorporate within our family. So when we talk about building stereotypes, or excuse me, breaking stereotypes, let's remember that that applies not only to what we're doing with the outside world, but what we're doing within ourselves. The incident raises a practical matter that we have to remind ourselves of as leaders within our organization. We have an obligation when we plan events, particularly rodeos and major events of that nature. We have an obligation, both a moral one from the standpoint of being people who are organizing and responsible for activities, but also one in terms of our insurance and things like that, to make certain we have in place an emergency response plan. Now, we can't control something like that if it were to occur at one of our events. All we can do is know that we have a plan in place for how to respond and how to handle it. So when you are planning your rodeo, especially, and other major events, remind yourselves it is your obligation to provide for those plans, to know who the points of contact are, the avenues that you need to follow, and literally avenues of escape if need be, but where are the resources, who do you have to contact, what do you have to do in case of all kinds of potential incidents that could affect us. All right, it's not. We do our best to plan, for circumventing them or heading them off. But if it should ever occur, God forbid, know what steps, know who's the persons that you need to turn to. What is the series of activities, steps that occur in something like that? How do you provide for, a reaction or evacuation, verification of your personnel? What is that all about? That's our job. All right. Now, speaking of other things, I'm going to take a drink of water. surprisingly, that's not the only thing that happened in the world in the last few months. Within our own association, we have suffered the loss of two of our associations with the cessation of operations with IGRA. IGRA no longer exists. They're no longer a member of this association. They conduct no business or activities. Their members have had to seek membership elsewhere, and I know a number of associations have reached out to offer them the opportunity to do that. And I hope for the most part we've succeeded in finding places where they can align and find a new home. There are members of the former IGRA Board of Directors who will be here this weekend, and they are here to show us that they still care about us and what we do, that they're still interested in being a part of it. They're here to reassure us that they did what they did under the exercise of good counsel from legal sources who told them this was the most appropriate way for them to proceed in handling their affairs under the circumstances. And just to kind of be face to face with us again, and they're looking for us to support them. They've been through an awful lot. Even though some of us may have moments of tension or causes of conflict because of it, just remember we're all in this together. We'll get through it, we'll get past it. The good news about IGRA is that there are members of that association who have already expressed an interest to us of finding a way to return gay rodeo to Canada. And I'm very happy to know that. Our membership chair has already been in contact with some people there about that. Don't know when or how it'll play out, but I just want you to know that we do believe that Canada will be back in some form as part of our International Gay Rodeo Association before too long. I mentioned that we suffered the loss of another association. Last week, the Louisiana State Gay Rodeo Association notified us that while they continue their operations, they have decided at this time to disaffiliate with IGRA. And principally, they want to focus on their local community, on building up membership, on their financial impact in the local community, and let's face it, the money that they have to pay for us for insurance and membership fees can be a drain on a small association who doesn't have a lot of fundraising support or members. So they've chosen at this time to look internally and see if they can build up in their area before they come back to us as part of our association. Now, what does this mean for us? It means, first and foremost, that any of their members who want to continue to participate have to find a home elsewhere. They only have a few members who are directly affected by that, but I think several of them already do belong to multiple associations. It also means that while they continue their operations, we want them to remain closely aligned with them, even though they're not a member of a recognized association, so that we can foster a relationship that may eventually bring them back into the fold. It also means, however, that there is not an entity affiliated with or recognized by IGRA that operates in Louisiana. And that certainly potentially means that we may make decisions in the future independently of what LSGRA is doing for our own benefit. I don't know what that might be, and no one certainly has an idea or plan expressed to us, but I just want you to understand that, for lack of a better word, Louisiana is now open territory, within our family, although I think for the time being we probably want to see if we can go down that path together to see about reaffiliation. This is our meeting at which we're going to receive a report from World Gay Rodeo Finals Committee about their recommendations for the future. I hope and believe that they have done all their due diligence to arrive at a decision recommendation for us with the best available information and the best available resources available for us today. With that in mind, I am hopeful that we will be in a place today where we can act upon their recommendation. But if we feel that we are not there yet, we need to express that, and we need to either ask them for whatever it is we feel we need, or we need to work within ourselves about taking their information, digesting it, and acting upon it. But whatever decision we make about 2017, I believe that we need to be looking at 2017 and 2018 together, because in this process of them trying to identify and isolate viable options for us for the future. One of the difficulties they found is that forward planning for an event like this is absolutely essential 2 years out, or we do not have dates available in locations that are desirable for us. They'll speak more to that, I'm sure, as they give their report, but I just want you to know that if we are not today beginning to look at 2019 and beyond, then we are daily narrowing the potential possibilities of where we might be in the future. Also with regard to WGRF, I want to remind you that we will soon be determining how many and who, what kinds of people we want to join that team for the coming year. As rodeo directors, the executive board will be working through that and putting information in the field. But I encourage you now to put that word out into your associations that we need and want people who want to be involved with that program. Among the things that program does not only is plan our World Gay Rodeo Finals for us, but it also is a training ground and an opportunity for people who want to improve their skills as rodeo directors or gain skills to become rodeo directors, to be involved in a program that mentors and trains them and prepares them so that they can do that not only for us but within their local association. Reminder that you might want to silence your phones at this time. We also have planning coming up for our annual convention in Austin. It is Austin, right? Yes, Austin we're going to this year. And that means the next 2 months are, for many of us, rule season. We think this is the time we need to concentrate on bylaws and standing rules and rodeo rules changes. And while it is necessary sometimes to make adjustments to our rules, I absolutely understand that. I remind you that our principal work at convention is not making adjustments to our rules, but planning programs, the activities, the policies, the priorities that will move forward our association next year and in the years to come. If that is not where our focus is, then we cannot make progress. So, do what you must with regard to rules changes, but focus, concentrate on what initiatives, what steps, what things can we do today that will plan for the future and see to it we have a good result next year and in the years to come that improve our association, make our rodeos better, give us greater coverage, increase new members, carry out our responsibilities of fostering the country western lifestyle and transmitting the skills and heritage of rodeo to new generations of participants. That's what we do. Now, when it comes to rodeo planning, today, this weekend, we're going to be reviewing and hopefully approving a number of rodeo applications for next year. And I know there's some associations that have been kind of working together about how to make adjustments to the calendar work for them and still work for us. We won't be seeing all of the proposals yet this time around. The rest will be due at annual convention at the board meeting immediately before that. But I do want to call to your attention that you will see Florida has submitted an application for next year. So they intend to be back on the circuit next year. You'll notice that there's been some changes with Palm Springs, which they have talked about with Las Vegas, so everybody who has a direct impact there is involved. But looking forward to the next set of applications, please note that while we accepted dates from everybody that they gave us last year at convention for 2017, we've not approved anything until those applications come to the board and get the approval. There are 2 associations who are indicating an interest in the same date in September of 2017. Okay? And you may submit a proposal for whatever you wish. And while I can't speak for the board today about what they might do, what we might do, I remind you that the board has expressed a disinterest in holding 2 rodeos on the same weekend with the current state of our organization. Your contestant base has expressed a strong interest in not having that occur. Our experience last year when it did occur tells us that it cut one of the rodeos down by at least 1/3, if not more. So I would advise the associations concerned and anybody who else might find themselves with a date in common with another association to get on the phone, work something out together so that we can avoid that and we can reconcile a program that does not require us to try to support 2 rodeos simultaneously with the current strength of our organization. Again, the board will do what it will when the time comes, but the best plan going forward at this stage in our organization is not to put yourself in a position where you're even in that dilemma. It is not planning for success to do so. The affect that I'm getting, the feedback is kind of fun today. We have a lot to do with our agenda, a number of things, awards and whatnot to do today. I do hope we're able to proceed, with due diligence, but speed as well, with still giving everything the time and attention it deserves. Roger, I believe lunch is scheduled for noon, is that correct?
Whenever you're ready.
IGRA, and in fact, Roger Japp will be providing lunch as our host today, so we thank you both, especially Roger, for having provided it for us. Also, there's donuts and bagels and coffee and water available for you there, so feel free to go munch on that stuff. With that, that concludes my report. Are there any questions about my report today?
I do.
Tom?
I would like to make a comment and then ask a question. The comment would be what you were saying about due diligence at rodeos. Being very serious. We need to be very vigilant. We could be the next target. So we've got to watch that. My question is, IGRA, we're no longer I. Do we change our name?
We became IGRA long before we were international.
Really?
And so it was aspirational from the beginning, and I would say to you in answer to that particular question that we remain I for the time being, because at least in our hearts and our minds, we're still an international organization. We still have international membership, and so,
Yeah. Okay.
the membership certainly may make a choice in that regard, but there's no need for us to act on that.
Thank you.
Optimism for more.
Anyone else? And I actually have to backtrack and say I did skip one item in my report, and that is that I have made an effort recently to work with smaller and non-rodeo producing associations, particularly those who have indicated a plan to host a future rodeo. I've already gone and spent a weekend with Cotton State and done some workshopping with them, as well as working with them in fundraisers and community support. I will be doing the same thing next week in Chicago in conjunction with Ed Berry's wedding, and then on August 20th I'll be doing the same thing in Keystone. I am looking for other opportunities to work with associations, whether they intend to produce a rodeo or whether they're associations who just need or want some specific support and attention from IGRA. So with that, I really do need when I'm finished. Anyone else? Very well, we'll move on to our Vice President, Jason Bernard.
When I sent the committee report form in, I had put on there that there was an item that we needed to discuss, and that was with a team member who had not raised any money towards their minimum requirement. Since I submitted that report, I have gotten a copy of their paperwork and a copy of the check that is to be sent to David Gill. I don't know if he has received it or not. So that person now has met their financial requirement, as well as I have some other paperwork and some checks to get to David. So at this point, every team member has met their minimum financial requirement for that, for their contracts, plus more. They've raised more for World Gay Finals and whatnot. So I have been in discussion with the World Gay Finals Rodeo Committee about items for the royalty competition on Thursday night and Saturday as well, and we've worked through the issues that we need to make sure that that is taken place. We do have the auditors for that in place, as well as the judge's draw has been sent out. There was a second one that was sent out after a correction that was brought to my attention on that. So that should have been sent out to everybody as well. I did ask Ron to make a change to the application for contestants due to the changes that were made last year at convention with the entertainment versus the horsemanship, and he has graciously did that, and I believe that is now on the website for that as well. We as a team have been working very hard for sponsorships for World Gay Finals, as well as selling sponsorships for royalty sashes, crowns, and buckles. I would like to thank Tommy Channel and James Jenkins for giving me information on how to proceed on certain things. There's not really a notebook that was passed from one person to the other on how we do certain things, so I certainly appreciate their help in getting that done. I believe that the information has to be posted on the website with the application and the information for the contest later this month, so I'll get with the person to get that put on the website so it's available for potential candidates for the 2017. And that is all I have in my report, if anybody has any questions.
Are there any questions for our Vice President?
I think you did a great job, okay? Keep it up, okay?
I want
Frank?
to see down, that's why I brought my glasses. I want to make sure I had you in visual contact there.
You know, I have to agree with you, Frank. The royalty team has done an extraordinary job, especially for a team that is 10 people, for all 10 of them to have accomplished more than their absolute minimums with IGRA is inspiring and valuable and appreciated. Unfortunately, they're not in the room here at the moment to hear it directly, but I'll certainly make a point of telling them personally, and if you will pass it on to them as well. I have had a small little item of appreciation made for each of them, which I'll give to them over the course of the weekend when I see them. And with that, if we have nothing further for Jason, we will thank you, and we'll move on to our Secretary, Ron.
Okay. First, I want to apologize to you for getting reports at different times, but I'm sending them out as I get them, and when they come to me late, that's why you get them late. I wish I could get them all at one time to send would help, but some, as you saw, I got 2 days ago, which makes it pretty difficult. I did revise or correct the exhibits C2 and C11 that Jason referred to. They have been posted on the website. And as a reminder with that, if you or any of your members propose rules at convention that are passed, I would encourage you to look at any exhibits that are applicable in those rules and correct the exhibits at the same time. It makes it a lot easier than us having to go back, and especially this year when 2 of us were working to get the handbook done. So that makes it easier. It's part of the same thing if you're proposing the rule, change the exhibit that goes with it. Also, Exhibit J was revised after the last Palm Springs meeting on May 6th. It's been posted on the website as well. As part of my duty, I have been requesting, I should say, a list of local association officers, and I've received the information from most associations. There's probably about 3 that I still don't have all of the information. And with that, then I have distributed the association president's list to the committee co-chairs, Sandy Bidwell and Randy Edlin. And as more information comes in, I'll continue to get that out to people, to that committee, so they have that. 8 nominations were received for the International Award, and I prepared ballots for voting later today for that. And then, although as trustees, there were 10 nominations received for the Trustees Award, and ballots have been prepared for that also for the trustees meeting. Although I did request all the nominations by June 22nd, so that we could, well, we need to vote today, but then also to allow plenty of time for ordering the awards and getting them in early enough that we're not rushing at the last minute. We have time to review to make sure there are no errors, all of that kind of stuff. But For appreciation awards, I know there were several associations did not send any, maybe they don't have any, but I would like to extend the date for appreciation awards through this weekend. If an association wants to give me names for your appreciation awards, I will take them through this weekend. But then I need to start getting the order together so that we have time to do that. With my report, and hopefully you all printed it, I did attach a list of service awards that I could think of, and I'd like to go through that and see if anybody knows any that I have missed, so we're making sure I'm accurate on that. I had Pierre.
And service awards are persons who've served IGRA as a member of the board of directors, as a trustee or officer, and they've completed their term of service. And that's what he's describing here.
So I have, it's surprising, I have 5 people. Pierre Cadu is secretary, and I had put my name on there as trustee. So Patrick Terry, CGRA trustee, Jackie Green, DSRA trustee, and Mark Rolla, TGRA trustee. Am I missing anybody? I went back through all my records and several times because it seemed like, I can't remember when we've only had 5 service awards. Anybody? I'm taking that must be correct.
If you do, remember that there was somebody in your spot before you. You need to make sure Ron knows today or this weekend so you can get that done. But otherwise, we'll accept that as gospel.
Also, to my report, I attached an updated list of the 2017 IGRA approved and tentative event dates, 2018 tentative event dates. I think this can be very helpful when we're looking at the board meeting schedule for 2017 and approval of rodeos for 2017, that you have this right in front of you without us having to go back and do some research. And a reminder that on the 5 rodeo applications that we will be working to approve today, 3 of those have revised dates from the tentative dates that were given at the 2015 convention. And I've indicated that on the list of dates with an asterisk as a reminder that they have revised dates. That's it.
Thank you, Ron. Are there any questions for the secretary regarding his report? There being none, Ron, thank you for that, and thank you for your service about getting everything together and out for us. Appreciate it so much. You know how much it means to me as president to get all that done, and thank you very much. Treasurer David Hill, have you a report for us?
Just an update on monies to be collected. Cotton State, $279.58. Bay Area, $231.75. Illinois, $279.58. Keystone, $108.75. Michigan, $279.58. Nevada, $200. North Star, $113.30. And Sonoran, $200.
Any questions about the receivables?
Pardon?
Any questions about the receivables? Go on, David.
Well, it's changed.
Oh, there was one? Gene.
Did you invoice them for that 113?
Yes, just recently.
Okay.
And,
I didn't see it, so that's why.
Andy?
Are these all from they're part of the insurance?
Most of them are insurance that are delinquent. Keystone, they had a Pride event that they got insurance for, so that's current. And Nevada, North Star also had a Pride event. And I believe Sonoran is for a buckle something.
Finals.
Ribbons, label, or medals, something like that.
Medals, yeah.
All right, David, I didn't mean to sidetrack you. Did you have more?
No, financials are on the website. I have not gotten July done, or June done yet. We'll be working on them this weekend.
Any questions for David with regard to his report? Very well, David. Thank you, as always, for all the work you do for us. Mr. Puglisi, trustee chair.
Defer the trustee.
Very well. I do not see a Tommy Channel in the room.
He's not here, but
All right, Ron, go ahead and present his report for him.
it's just a quick review. I sent it out, so hopefully you all got that. But he wanted everybody to be aware that the current total membership today, based on membership lists that we've gotten, is 1,225, excluding IGRA and LSGRA. He wants to thank the associations who have been compliant with the rules regarding stock contractor liability insurance, and that is very important to work with your rodeo directors, make sure they're providing these insurance certificates in a timely manner. Been very successful with merchandise sales, and he lists the different sales that have occurred. There is still a small inventory of the bull buckle, so if you've been thinking about purchasing one, now's the time. No more will be ordered when supplies are gone. And thanks to everyone for your continued support. There were no action items.
Thank you. Although Tommy's not here, does anyone have any questions with regard to his report? Very well. We'll thank Tommy for that. Our corporate auditor, Ed Berry. Either way.
Again, I sent this out. Everything's good as usual with David as treasurer. There were no issues, nothing out of the ordinary. And it's just a normal report like he sends. So I think unless anybody has questions, there again are no action items. So.
Again, because June is not done yet, it only went through May.
Any questions or comments with regard to the auditor's report? Very well. I will mention, just in case there's somebody who isn't aware, Ed gets married next week in Chicago. And I know several people are planning to be there, but I'm certain that, we all wish him well in his future life, and very happy for him on this occasion. It's nice to have things like that. I believe we may have other good news yet to celebrate this weekend if my prognosticating skills are any indication. If you're on the internet, you
I
can
can't
do
even
that.
spell that.
We'll move into the standing committee reports now. Ron has reorganized the agenda into alphabetical order rather than order in the rules. So for today, we'll take it in that order. Do we have an animal issues and concerns report?
No.
No report for animal issues. Annual convention, Mary Honeycutt.
No report.
Mary is present this weekend.
Yeah, they don't know.
Mary just got here after
She
driving
just
all
drove
night,
in.
so.
They got stuck in the rain and the hail
Yeah,
and
last
everything
night.
last night, so she's.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
Glad
we
she
take
made
care
it.
of our
When she
business.
gets here, we'll call it up at that time. Association President, Sandy.
I printed one, really, I wasn't ready.
No action items on it.
We're doing well. I've been updating the Facebook page for anybody that is a president, and I have asked for some of the older presidents. I sent out a message not too long ago. There are 42 people that are signed up on the president's page where I can go out and tell them this, that, and another thing. That page is if you have a concern, a problem as a past or a present president. It's not really being utilized for that. It is being utilized for sending out posters, flyers, and things like that, which is good. But when I sent it out to the 42 different people that are registered on there, I got 6 people that answered and said, yeah, I read this, yeah, I'm part of this. So I am urging all of the presidents or people in here to tell their presidents to get the heck out there and start utilizing that page for what it's worth. There are many good aspects that you can share, especially with our new presidents that are questioning, what am I supposed to do now? If they put it out there, you have all these opportunities and all this experience to get out there and do the same. That's pretty much what I've been doing. I'm ready for convention. So here we go.
Sandy, may I ask, are you aware of any new presidents?
I send things out to ask for them, but no, I am not. As I do find out, I automatically, whether they like it or not, add them.
Well, as far as I know, Robin was the most recent change in
He's on there.
It's-
Am I? Yes, you are. See?
I'm on there.
That'll be it.
Does anyone have any questions for Sandy with regard to the report? Very well, thank you, Sandy. We appreciate what you're doing for us, and we'll move on to budget with David Hill.
I submitted a report, nothing to report, have received no budget request. I thought we might have some from finals after this morning's meeting, but haven't heard.
Does anyone have any questions for David with regard to the budget committee report? Very well, we'll move on. Thank you, David. I believe Benjamin has nothing for bylaws and standing rules at this time.
Correct.
Community outreach, fundraising, and gender diversity, that team, do we have a report from them?
No. As far as I know, there's nothing other than
Nothing.
that. They do have a few shows, I know, still booked in the next couple of months for fundraising.
I believe if memory serves, Terry may have a show on the horizon, is that right?
Yeah. 23rd or something.
Well, they do a very good job of making sure that we all know. If you live anywhere close to a house with Facebook on it, you probably see those posters. On the subject of fundraising, I simply want to remind us that while the bylaws say that the fundraising committee are the royalty, fundraising is everybody's responsibility. And we need to work harder about incorporating fundraising events or activities within the IGRA calendar and within our routine work. I've discussed some ideas and possibilities with the finals committee, with the fundraising committee, with the executive board of directors. But the key thing is we've got to find personnel who can carry things out. The royalty team is already very involved in things that they do. And quite frankly, it's an unfair burden to ask them to take on significantly more than what they already do for us. You know, working with them about creating new opportunities that involve other people, that's part of their job as a committee. My own personal opinion is that committee needs to be restructured so that it is not, so that we don't make it seem like it's limited to them. I think it's detrimental to IGRA, and I think it's an unjust burden on the royalty to do that. But ultimately, that'll have to be dealt with by the association through our action at annual convention and beyond. But my own perception is we're not serving ourselves well with the current structure. And I think it's time that we evaluate it and reorganize that structure to make it more fruitful and more profitable for us. Money's not the answer to our needs, but it certainly is a tool we can utilize to move ourselves forward. Do we have anything on the dance committee?
There's no actual report. I just wanted to let you know that there is still a huge interest out there. We still are trying to plan something. The only weekend that was given to us with a no charge for a weekend in the month of June in Dallas was Father's Day weekend. And we did not feel like it was good to go up against Father's Day weekend. So now what we're looking at is late year or early next year of still doing something. I've got about probably 20 different dance groups from across the International Association, fathers, a lot of different interests, and people that I reached out to, some of them I guess don't watch their emails, and so late getting back answers. So I'm getting more response as weeks go by, but we are still planning something. It looks like it's going to be late fall or early next year.
Any questions for Wade about the dance program? Robert, I'm about to call you. Can you do this in 10 minutes or will you need longer than that?
That all depends on you all.
Okay, all right, let's do the first half, then we'll take a break and we'll come back and do the second part.
So, first of all, on behalf of CGRA, thank you all for being here today. Welcome to Colorado. So what we're going to do in this first half, if you're going to take a break, we'll talk about finals this year, 2016, and the plans and what's going on with that. The committee, under Laura's direction as the rodeo director for finals this year, has done just an amazing job in getting everything lined up. We seem to be on track on those things. I'm going to introduce Laura to you. You all know her. She'll discuss rodeo, what's going on. One thing that I want to stress to the board of directors and the board of trustees, some numbers from last year. Almost 50% of the IGRA trustees did not show up at their own finals rodeo. This is not our rodeo. This is not our committee's rodeo. This is your rodeo. When we get into marketing, advertising, sales, we need your help. This committee can't do it on its own. Each of you have a Facebook account, I'm sure. Post something about finals. Do it once a month. Do it every other week. Anything. Pick an item, post it, put something out there. Something you may have seen on our website, on the IGRA, WGRF.com website. We need your help there. Again, we're doing our side to meet the budget guidelines that were agreed by this board, but we need your help to reach those budget numbers. Hotel, based on last year versus this year as of today, we're down 120 rooms from where we were last year. A cause for concern.
Room nights.
Room nights. That's a cause for concern at this stage of the game. It's twofold. There's the excitement of Vegas last year and being a new venue, so forth, so on. This is our 30th anniversary. We need to pump that. History shows us that we have gone from when we went to Fort Worth. It was our 25th anniversary. That rodeo, we'd gone from a $476 profit in Laughlin, moved to Fort Worth. It was the 25th anniversary. We jumped to a $6,500 profit from that rodeo. The next 3 years went down 1,000, down 7,700, down 4,800, until we went to Vegas and it was at 11. We think we can capitalize and keep that number up there in Vegas this year at South Point by promoting the 30th anniversary. As the committee chair, I'm a numbers guy. You've seen that last year. I am strictly a numbers guy. Hotel rooms, room nights are down. We need your help in promoting it. Not that it's in Vegas, not that it's in South Point, a beautiful facility, but it's our 30th anniversary. Bruce talked about numbers and associations going away. We need your help. It's your rodeo. We're tasked with putting it on and producing it and hopefully making it profitable, but that's about where it stops. Again, it's your rodeo. We need your input, what you'd like to see, what you don't want to see, what you liked, what you didn't like, or avenues that maybe myself, Laura, or anyone else on the committee or the directors can start working on and focusing on so we can go forward with that. I'll turn it over to Laura so she can go through her numbers, where we're at and what the committee's been doing or her assistant directors have been doing.
Because I am also a numbers person, we've got a couple of numbers that I think are really important. We finally got the contract signed with Corona Extra, which was a great thing. So thank you, Corona, for coming on. And I just got confirmation yesterday in the email, David, I'll get with you to invoice LVCBA for the $10,000. So thank you to LVCBA for that. That brings our total thus far to $37,500 for sponsorship. And we still have a few months to go. The one area on here that is different is the shoot sales. Last year, I sold all of the shoots to one company for $6,000. 3,000 of that was sponsorship dollars. The other 3,000 covered the cost of the shoots. So I'm still trying to work out that with a couple of different people. But like I said in the last meeting, I think that we are pretty close to where we're going to be last year. Yes, David?
What is the dollar amount with Corona?
Corona is $10,000. It's LVCBA is $10,000. Sinfire Whiskey is $500. D-Bar J is $500. Jack Daniels is $3,500. They're up $1,000 from last year. Gun Oil is $2,500. They went up $1,000 from last year. Corona Extra is $10,000. Barefoot Wine is a new one. They came on for $1,000 this year. Tito's Vodka is $5,000. Boot Barn went up $1,000. They're up to $2,500. Charlie's is $2,000. Medic West, our ambulance company, they provide their services to us for free because of a relationship that NGRA has built with them over the years. IFA Country Store, they donate our hay. So there's, thinking about this in the future and a discussion that will happen after your break, think about these things for the future of World Gay Rodeo Finals. Sponsorship in Las Vegas has been the reason we're successful. We need to marry that with the marketing to bring the butts in the seats, to make us successful there. That is our main goal right now, is how are we gonna do that? And like Robert touched on, it's all of our responsibility, every one of us. And so if you could, please, I'm asking you as the rodeo director, when you are on Facebook, it's easy to go over to WGRF's Facebook page and share something. It's easy to do. Please do it. Like you said, the hotel numbers are down. As of June 27th, we were at 106 room nights. But this has been a wacky year for rodeos. And I think that accompanied with, they're not sure if they're going to have the points to go to finals. Also, with Vegas being our second year, people they know what to expect now. They know that they could wait. They don't, we've got a lot more room blocks this year. So they know that they can wait a little bit longer. I'm encouraging you to get your rooms now so we can have a better idea. So encourage your people, your memberships to get your
And
rooms.
the thing on the rooms, why that number sticks out, just whether you know or don't know, it's a thing for the committee. A lot of our contract this year changed from last year on hotels. Dramatically. We're based and locked in on room nights based off of last year's rooms that we sold. If we don't hit those numbers, there's some changes.
We were contracted at 250 room nights last year. We ended up with 820.
Okay.
So they contracted us this year based on that number, the 820, or thereabouts. Now, fortunately, for us to get the prices that we want, we only have to get 80% of that, but still, that's 80%.
80% is 700 and something. I believe was the
795,
final
I
number
think.
that they came with. But yeah, so that's why that number is important.
Just to clarify, was that number, the 120 less, is it the same time this time last year or?
It's the same time.
Same time this time last year.
We've got a sheet that shows the dates.
I asked Laura for comparison, and the hotel gave us the numbers currently through today, based on currently what they were last year through today. So, same numbers. So, the video isn't out yet. It's being designed, it's being worked. Brian's working on that. Brian Helander did an awesome thing last year that I remember going out on Facebook, inviting his personal friends to come join him in Las Vegas and watch the rodeo. They weren't participants or contestants, but to come see finals. And that started. I seen 2 or 3 other people do. These are the types of things we need. Inviting, your people from your association. Join me in Las Vegas. Let's celebrate, our 30th anniversary. Those are the types of Facebook posts that I think we need out there to generate the room sales and those types of things. If you generate the room sales, I guarantee you generate gate sales. We've seen it happen last year. So,
That's all of it.
that's it.
What's the group code for the South Point for the rooms?
It is WGR 1006, I believe. It's on the website. Let me find it for you.
The website's not coming up right now. Jeff Co's blocking it, so I was wondering. That's okay. I'll get it later.
Since this is the 30th anniversary of the IGRA Finals Rodeo, is there anything special being done to mark the anniversary of 30 years?
There is. We are working on a grand entry. We are inviting all past, David Smith out of California is going to be inviting all past finals winners, contestants, to participate in grand entry. Our program is dedicated to 30 years of IGRA finals. There's a lot of things that we are doing. When you walk into that arena, you will know it's a 30th anniversary.
Wow.
And before that, the video that Brian's doing is also dedicated.
And again, if you have an idea or a suggestion of something you would like the committee to consider for that 30th, that's just the information we want to hear, okay? It's your rodeo.
Yeah, the thing that comes to mind it's not only recognizing the contestants for 30 years, but recognizing the volunteers and the long-term people that have been around for such an extended period of time, supporting those contestants and putting on these rodeos.
Well, and that's easy to, you know, besides having a blurb in the program thanking all of those volunteers and everybody who has had such an impact, but also anybody who's in that stance, anybody who's standing in those chutes, take the applause from the people and thank these people for all of those years of their dedication.
Brian?
You know, I'll pass for now.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Okay. Tom?
2 questions. One,
Sorry.
does the Tourist Bureau of Las Vegas ever
LVCVA?
give donations?
Do they what?
Do they give donations?
They gave us $10,000.
They did?
Yes.
Okay. Secondly, the hotel, last year they had practically on every slot machine, they had a symbol.
They'll do it again.
They're gonna do it again?
Uh-huh.
Good, thank you.
Those will come out 30 days prior to rodeo.
They do it the month of the rodeo. And we're fortunate this year because the rodeo's a little bit later. We'll have a little more time in there for that.
Got it?
And one other thing on this year's rodeo, before you go on break, there are still 10 to 12 buckles still available for sale. There is still advertising in the program that is for sale.
That sheet, the blue sheet, the pink sheet.
The pink sheet that's out in front of you. There's an early deadline and cutoff this year, much earlier than last year, because we're trying to get in the Las Vegas Pride magazine. And they have, you know, between 20 and 40,000 people in Las Vegas for Gay Pride weekend, which happens to be, lucky for us, our weekend also. So, if you're interested, you know, a $500 ad in your program is going to reach 40,000 people.
Yeah, it's
And
going,
it's going to 6 or 7 states.
California,
Yeah.
Utah,
Colorado.
Arizona, Colorado, and Las Vegas. And it'll be out 50 days prior to the rodeo.
Okay.
The only other thing on the subject of room nights that you need to be reminded of is that it is one of the 3 sources of revenue potential we have, because we do get a 10% commission on room nights. So this affects our bottom line directly.
Absolutely.
So we've also, I've put out a few things to Pride. They don't have a distinctive hotel of their own. They have some hotels that they support, but they do not have a host hotel. So I'm putting it out there to people that if you want to come and stay at South Point, you'll be around a whole bunch of gay cowboys and cowgirls, and then go to Pride after you go to our rodeo. Because Pride is offering a half off their ticket if they come to our rodeo and they bring their rodeo ticket.
Lisa?
Would that be a good opportunity to put that in the program?
Of course.
Yeah. Let me write that down.
I know that they had committed to including us in their app.
Yes, it's been all,
So I know we have some struggles. Is it on the app?
oh yeah, it's
now?
it's been on the app for, right after we started having problems. Brent has spent a lot of time with them. We're on their phone app, we're on their Facebook page, we are on their website, we're on all of their stuff.
So I know the MGM gets, I think it's MGM properties, they plug them a lot on their website, but is there any way that we could
Get on MGM's thing? I could talk to
get
James
on-
Ely.
Get onto their website as the private hotel,
Yeah.
because they're not really endorsing it.
Right.
So I thought-
I know that they do have our banner at all of their events, Pride when they go to other prides, and also at their bingos. They have their banner and they have ours right next to it.
Terry?
Is it possible to get some Facebook posts out that when we share, that I try to share everything I see that comes across my Facebook,
You did.
but that says for a wild weekend, we have Las Vegas Pride Weekend and rodeo going on at the same time.
We actually, I just did a conjoined kind of a thing that says enjoy both Pride and rodeo.
Yeah.
Promoting
Right.
rodeo #1, but also go to Pride in the evening and enjoy their evening activities, because their stuff goes on till 10 o'clock at night.
Because I've got friends all over the United States, and that might be incentive It's like, ooh, I can go do rodeo and Las Vegas Pride.
The Facebook post that I've seen referencing that is 2 events one weekend.
Yeah,
And I have
that's
seen that
exactly
out.
what it is.
I
Two
haven't
events
seen
one
it,
weekend.
so I'll look for it.
We're going to take a 10-minute break and return at 10 minutes after 11. We'll then resume with the World Gay Rodeo Finals Committee report.
Well, only 4 are registered trademarks.
It is 11 after 11. I reconvene this meeting of the Board of Directors of the International Gay Rodeo Association. Please gather your snacks and drinks and resume your seats. While you reassemble, I'll just call to your attention this shirt behind me. This is what we propose as the shirt for the Pride Parade on Friday night at WGRF. Those who have red shirts already obviously are welcome to wear what they have, but we wanted to create a new shirt specifically to celebrate the 30th and to provide for those who don't already have a red shirt. It has the IGRA logo, it has WGRF on the sleeve, and it has the 30th anniversary logo on the other sleeve. Gene can take orders for you, you can have your name or not. I've asked them to add at additional cost Team IGRA on the back. I really like that from the get-go. So I'll be wearing it tomorrow. You can see it up close and personal.
Then everybody can be a judge.
I'm not the one who picked red. We'll turn it back over to our WGRF presentation at this time.
Okay, so that's basically it on 2016, and we're gonna spend this next few minutes, hopefully, on World Gay Rodeo Finals 2017 and beyond.
Before we go on,
Sure.
would it be possible that we get some information on World Gay Rodeo Finals on our IGRA.com website with a link?
I've asked for the link to be put on the front. I know that the front page has gone through a couple of different
Frank's here, let's.
issues, but I've asked for a link on here, and he said closer to the
I mean, it'd be great if we had
This.
the logo.
Flashy logo or something, the 30th anniversary.
Frank, make it happen.
We could just ask if you would.
I actually have. Times.
But can it be where it's already
Frank, is
on
that
there?
something we can get the logo on there where it's a click-on icon that takes you to our website?
On the
To
main
the,
page.
On the first
on the main page?
You mean over here?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, is it possible anywhere there we can put an icon, a click on that takes you over to WGRF,
Well, to be
IGRA?
honest, I believe after this weekend, it's going to appear at the bottom of the list.
Coming events.
Oh,
But,
as the upcoming
but just the
event.
text. What we'd like actually is the logo.
It doesn't really, because of the way the site is constructed. I'll try and see what I can do with it.
Can
I'm
you
not
get with
sure.
Laura before this weekend's over and maybe you guys can come up with something that will work?
That's not the problem. The problem is the way this page is
Okay.
constructed. It's pulling data from another location. If I change the data that fits in here, it's gonna screw up the other side of the site. But let me see what I can do. I might be able to fit something in manually.
Appreciate it, thank you.
But like I say, I believe it will actually show up right after.
Thank you, Frank.
So first of all, before we go into 2017 World Gay Rodeo Finals and beyond, my apologies to this board of directors, the board of trustees. This has been a year for me of life happens, okay? Things have changed business careers, added trucks, did this, that, and the other. I have not done the job that you probably expected of me, okay? Bruce and I have had that conversation, and I'll accept responsibility for that. I was to the point of even resigning because I didn't have the time that this required, and it really needs focus. Not only just finals rodeo, but the committee, how we choose judges and arena directors and all of those things, and how we build the program with new people, so forth, so on. There's a lot of work that needs to be done there. I can tell this board that's sitting here today that my life has now finally, thank God, reached the point where we're on a pretty even, steady keel, and I've been able to focus pretty heavy on this the last week or two. So I think going forward that we're okay if the board is okay with that also. hats off and a lot of appreciation from myself to Lisa on our committee, who has, along with me making phone calls and reaching out while I drive my semi up and down the road, who's done a lot of groundwork, legwork on packages and proposals that we receive from people. I believe each of you received this a couple of days ago. It's 40 pages, but it has every contract that we reviewed this morning as a committee. I do have a spreadsheet that I can look at and hopefully answer any questions as we go forward on those sites. As I put in the cover letter that I sent to each of you, those of you who may or may not have gotten it, and Bruce mentioned in his opening remarks how, you know, planning forward and so forth, so on. Areas like Tulsa, Oklahoma, great facility, no dates available. Wichita, you know, I looked at Wichita, moving it back there, indoor or covered arena, great camping, so forth, so on. The city and county shutting the whole facility down, they're not making money. Whether we had come on board before and that would have been enough for them to continue operating, I don't know. You know, it's hard to say. We can remain at South Point. If you want to stay at South Point, I have dates for South Point, first week in August. You want to change our entire rodeo schedule to stay at South Point, we can do it. National Western Stock Show Complex here in Denver. They finally booked their schedule forward for 2017. The only dates available there, here in Denver, are in November. You know, it's doable with our schedule, but horse safety and people traveling with horse and trailers, it's not a great time of year to drive over the Rocky Mountains. Just saying. So these are all things that the committee looked at and went through. You have the 6 venues: Horseman's Park in Las Vegas, the Rawhide in Phoenix, the Expo in New Mexico, the Barton Coliseum in Little Rock, and then Penrose, Colorado Springs. As a committee, I talked to them as I'm going to talk to you the same way in coming up with our decision. We've had in the past individuals where finals isn't an event that we need to make money off of. A break even or $1 is a successful finals. I'm not sure that's the attitude we need to go forward, and I base that on the last 2 years in Las Vegas. We have a venue, a beautiful venue, and an area, a market that we can access $30,000 to $40,000 pretty easily, just in contacts, in generating sponsorship money. So that was considered. Does IGRA want to make a profitable rodeo? Whereas Bruce mentioned earlier, we have the funds available to stimulate the sport of gay rodeo with new contestants, so forth, so on. Or do you want to break even in facilities that we're not sure we can even cover and not have that money to go forward? So this is what, in the committee, I was stressing to them as we considered it. Some of these facilities are uncovered, some are covered. We did not look at facilities in an uncovered venue that is in the dead of winter, or that wasn't in climate accessible for us to be in there. So that's some of the things that we looked at when we looked at these venues. It is the recommendation of the committee. We did 2 votes. We narrowed these 6 down to your top 2 picks. And that vote came out for Horseman's Park, Las Vegas, and Rawhide in Phoenix. Speaking of Phoenix, I did spend a lot of time with the city of Scottsdale on their facility out there. We couldn't get dates. We could get the last weekend in November for 2017 and the first weekend in December for 2018. We could get those dates, the end of November. Wonderful city to work with. Amazing people. Called me all the time, had all these hotels, so on. But I didn't include them in this package because of those dates. So these were the 6. The first vote, we narrowed it down. The 2 that won were Horseman's Park and Rawhide. We took a second vote, and it's the committee's recommendation that 2017 be at Horseman's Park in Las Vegas.
Do you have a date for that?
There are 3 dates available.
Okay, we'll handle that separately then. You have the recommendation to the committee that in 2017, the World Gay Rodeo Finals be situated at Horseman's Park in Las Vegas. Is there any discussion on the recommendation of the committee? Candy?
I would strongly talk against this. I went through the years of an outdoor arena, and there again, it was in Phoenix, and we got flooded out. And I know the rule just says recommended, but I would hope that for our finals that we would use a coliseum. One, for a nice environment, two, that we don't have to worry about any kind of weather ruining our finals. So I strongly talk against that.
I believe I saw Frank's hand on the right.
Yeah. So basically what I'm hearing from the recommendation is that you're, if we move it, that we're not going to get sponsorships, correct?
That is a concern of ours. The sponsorship dollars certainly help to make the rodeo profitable.
Okay. So basically the sponsors are from local vendors then, that we don't have like an actual national sponsor for it all.
Unless you call Jack Daniels a national sponsor,
Okay.
Corona Extra national
So
sponsor.
all those would still go wherever the rodeo would go?
Potentially.
Possibly.
Okay, so in my mind, this is just, to me, just, you know, takes a little bit of time for me to understand things. In Division I, there's 3 associations. Division II, there's 3 associations. So
There are 4 in Division 2.
Okay, 4 in Division II. So 7 out of the 20 are in that area. Little Rock is essentially located right deep in the heart of pretty much horse country, that these associations right there will help and help make it bigger and everything like that. So I don't, and get the whole feel, the excitement of it built up even more versus you're only having 7 on that side.
Thank you, Frank. Michael?
I'm good.
Brian Helander?
Well, I think going to an outside arena is an error. I think going to an outside arena is an error on our part. We have no control over the environment. We don't know what the weather's going to be. We can't predict it. It is our finals rodeo. And for me, people give to people. People come to the rodeo because of people that are involved. I think it's a mistake. So, yeah.
Tom?
I totally agree with Candy and Brian.
Guy?
Could you give a ballpark figure? You don't have to answer right this minute, but what the difference would be on the bottom line?
The arena cost at Horseman's Park is $5,500 a day.
500.
I'm sorry, $500 per day, $1,500 for the weekend. Barton Coliseum, Little Rock, $15,000.
For the whole weekend?
Correct.
The biggest,
But
We're answering
that's
that
not a fair
question.
price.
Was there something
It's not fair.
on that question? Lisa?
I was going to say that is not a fair comparison because, you know, where you go to Barton Coliseum, you get your security, you get all this added stuff that you may have to pay at another facility, the little ins and outs. Not to say it's not cheap.
We are
Totally
answering the
covered.
question of the comparative cost between the venues. After that, I have a number of people on the line to speak. Anything further on the question?
I don't think they understood my question.
Okay.
Compare South Point to the committee's recommended venue. We made 11,000 last year. What would we really, if we had it there?
I missed the
he
question. Go ahead.
wants to know the difference between the money-making opportunities between South Point and
Projected
Horseman's Park.
revenue.
The main thing, and this, I don't honestly care where it's at. I'm not doing this because it's Las Vegas. I don't care. But what I do care about is, ideally, yes, I would love for it to be a covered arena. What I do care about is IGRA making money. And at Horseman's Park, it's the only facility with the capability for our own bar.
100% alcohol sales.
Have you arrived at any sort of projected figure that might address the difference in revenue potential between South Point and Horseman's Park?
Cost of facility alone, you're looking 18,000 versus 2.
So you're suggesting a savings of about $16,000, which would be to the bottom line in profit.
You'll have some additional security that we don't currently have at South Point because they provided under
The
the
entire
contracts over
venue because I've been the rodeo director there so many times, the entire venue, which includes stalls and everything, we don't pay over $5,000 for everything.
So 5,000 compared to 18,000 leaves a $13,000 potential.
On top of
difference.
any other profit.
So at the present time, that's the best answer we can give without being more direct in our budgeting.
We
All
didn't
right.
go
Guy, did you
through-
have anything further on your question?
I was kind of hoping that you would come up with a number. That's why I said you don't have to answer it right now. I see you keep trying to tell me, just come up with the ballpark.
Okay, and
We'll move to Terry.
I also going to agree with Brian and Candy. This is our finals job. Outdoor arena, we have no control of the weather, no control of the heat, wind, everything, and it's going to be hard to get people out there, because if you go to other outdoor arenas, it's hard to keep a crowd at any outdoor arena because of the weather. Most of them it's hot, they get tired, they get burned up. So this is our finals. We need a nice covered arena and make it, you know, spectacular. That's the reason our finals have died over the years, because most of them are like going to any other rodeo. And if it's outdoor arena, it's going to be just like any other rodeo.
Roger Jack?
I'm conflicted. I can see both sides. I just wanted to kind of give the other side of this, since everybody's kind of speaking against. I guess I'm on the fence. I'll admit that. I would probably be in favor, though, just given the looking at weather averages for both Phoenix and Las Vegas. I just looked them up. Mid-80s for both places in October. A quarter inch of rainfall. I'm not worried about an outdoor arena in these venues, and I think that the as far as the weather is concerned, with Terry's point of the show, it does raise more of a concern for me. So I just wanted to throw that info out.
Thank you, Roger. Barbara?
I just think it takes a chance with weather, doing it outside. I think people work hard all year long to get to finals. Contestants spend a lot of money throughout the year getting there, and I think if you come to something like finals and it is rained out or there's bad weather, it just makes it more dangerous and more expensive, and you do lose the contestants, because not a lot of people will sit during the rain, and we have had it happen before, so that would be my concern.
Chuck is on the list. After that, I have no one on the list. However, if there is someone who wishes to speak in favor of the recommendation, that would be who I would recognize after Chuck. Chuck?
This is just to Robert and the committee. You know, thank you guys for the work that you did. It's difficult, and you know, your options seem limited. But I believe that Albuquerque had a potential site with a covered arena. Was there a reason that was not considered, or?
It was considered. In the first vote, it received 1 vote out of the committee. And a lot of this probably could have been handled in committee if we had more participation in our committee. It was considered. It's probably the stronger covered arena as far as the committee's looking at. Price is $7,535 on that facility and stuff. Beautiful facility. The discussion in committee on that was, do we have an organization? And how difficult it is that for us as a World Gay Rodeo Finals Committee to produce a rodeo. Do we have the strength in the local association to do so? That was part of the consideration.
Can I ask you a question, Brian? Why did New Mexico Rodeo move from Albuquerque to Santa Fe?
Cost.
Because the Sheriff's Posse Rodeo was very successful. And when it got successful, the arena got a little greedy. They wanted more and more money for the arena. And we made a business decision to move it to a more affordable arena. And we've been very successful there. We have a strong association. And that was the reason. It wasn't just financial.
Because I've heard that part too.
And there's a large case.
Is there anyone else?
I'm
I'm sorry, Brian, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm just asking, thanks for the question.
I meant to give you a good chance to finish up your. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the question of the recommendation to accept Horseman's Park as the location of the 2217 World Gay Rodeo Finals, particularly anyone who wishes to speak in favor?
Can I speak outside of the committee, Chair?
You certainly may speak on the subject of the recommendation.
I guess my question in reviewing all of these sites so far, we were told a long time ago that the central location for IGRA and its contestants was Taos, New Mexico, or thereabouts, okay? Albuquerque's about as close to that centralized location that we were given at one time. As a contestant, and I'm going to speak as a contestant, I'm going to speak as a member of IGRA.
Speak quickly.
I don't know who we think we are anymore. That we require a covered facility. Are we so big and we're gaining associations and membership all across this country? Or is it time that we do a facility somewhere that is acceptable, the climate is acceptable, and that we generate revenue so that we can promote ourselves and rebuild this organization? And I guess that's where I lean to, is maybe it's time not to take a step back, but to realize who we are.
Time for debate has expired.
Thank you.
Move to extend.
This motion to extend, it has been seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion to extend? All in favor of extending debate on the recommendation say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Time for debate is extended. We will be additional 10 minutes. If you want to finish anything, you're welcome.
I was probably pretty much done.
Okay. That's all right. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak on the recommendation of the committee to accept Horseman's Park, who has not already spoken before? Michael?
My perception is that there has to be a balance between having a successful, profitable finals, but also having a finals that is reasonably appropriate for the contestants competing that have worked to get there. So I think we have to find, the goal is to find a middle ground, and where that middle ground is like finding a needle in a haystack. So it's a tough job.
Brian?
I agree it's a tough job. For me, this is a matter of mission over money. I totally agree as a board member sitting here that it's about money, but I also put more weight in the mission of the organization. And for me, to achieve the mission of the organization, it takes work by the board of directors to make the money to do the mission. And I think from what I see, I feel we've lost the perspective on that. And for me, the lack of focus on the mission is a greater danger to our organization than the money. If we had a finals and a good finals and we made $1, that's better to me than making money and disenfranchising a whole group of people.
Chuck?
In looking at this, it says support for the Expo in New Mexico, and it says NMGRA question mark. Being that we have somebody here from NMGRA, can we hear from them? Because you had stated that you didn't have any support from them, or?
That's not particularly germane to whether we accept the proposal for Horseman's Park. It may become a question we may need to address.
Okay.
Tom?
The last two rodeos that IGRA held, we paid $27,000 to rent the facility, and that was low. I'm not worried about the $14,000 or $13,000 difference.
Any further discussion on the recommendation? Guy?
Well, just to point out, I was looking here on some history, and it looks like on average in Las Vegas, it possibly will rain 3 days in the month. And those 3 days combined comes out to 8 millimeters of rain.
If you're lucky. If you're lucky.
I'm just putting the facts out there. And we didn't really get an answer to the question, but I would venture to think that we would probably make $40,000 or more on the bottom line. I mean, not more, but instead of 11, it would probably be closer to $40,000 on the bottom line.
Can I address that? Because it wasn't a task that the committee did, for the reason being, you also don't see hotels, you don't see other venues, things that, can do. We didn't feel in wasting a whole lot of time in coming up with the bottom line numbers and so forth, because we don't even know where we're going.
I just know that at South Point, we don't get anything. We don't get revenue from food, beverage. We have to pay for all these shavings. The horse stalls are very expensive. I mean, yes, the facility's beautiful. That's not a for debate, but it's very expensive to us. We can't bring in our own water. There's so many things we cannot do.
Correct.
So I think we do need to look at finances. I don't think making $1, I mean, yeah, it's better than losing money, but, how much longer are we gonna survive scraping the bottom of the bucket?
Any further discussion on the recommendation? Candy?
Can I make a point, and I don't know if you could check this also, but it's not just the rain, it's also wind. And wind is a huge factor when you're roping and
Sure.
trying to run flags and
It's not
poles and
really
stuff
windy
like
in
that.
October there.
Okay.
It's not.
I just-
Our windy
Laura?
months are March and
Laura?
April. I'm just answering your
She
question.
didn't ask one.
Well, she did actually. She said she'd like to know about the
You are
weather.
out of it.
That's not unusual.
Okay. Just wanted to make that a factor too.
Any further discussion on the recommendation? Brian?
The other thing that concerns me is, we're a big association. We have, I personally have supported the finals in Las Vegas. It was fantastic. But we're a big association. We have University in Vegas this year, or next year. Now we're looking at finals in Vegas in the uncovered arena. We're a huge association. We can support other associations, other communities.
Is there any further discussion on the recommendation?
Yeah, I can go that route.
You do not have an endless limit of opportunity to address the board.
Well, as soon as everyone else has answered that. Can I have one more? Oh,
Make it quick.
was that a yes? I'm just gonna go on, okay. One other thought, Brian, with that in mind. The reason we didn't get the South Point contract, so not enough horses, so forth, so they can sell those and make a lot more money, this, that, and the other. Luckily enough, they gave us some dates that we could have used, if that's where we want to stay, so on. For me, as a committee chair in reviewing this and looking at the choices that were there, we are a great organization and a strong organization. And I think staying in the Las Vegas market allows us the opportunity to get into some of those hotels and so forth, so on. The Orleans, which didn't return calls, so forth, so on, for 6 months. But staying in that market allows us to get back into those types of facilities where we actually do belong.
Is there any further discussion on the recommendation of the
Average
committee?
is 8.1 miles per hour.
There being no further discussion, all in favor of the recommendation of the committee to go to Horseman's Park in 2017 for finals rodeo, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
The nays have it. We will not accept that recommendation. Does the committee at this time have an alternative recommendation for the
Committee wishes to reconvene.
Very well. Despite the fact that that was rather a difficult choice, we do appreciate your work.
Oh,
I
no
think
sweat off my,
if there's any takeaway from the discussion, it is that the primary concern is covered arena versus not covered arena. You knew that might become an issue. And the other then is whether or not Vegas as a location also serves our purposes. That came out to me as a secondary consideration. Will the committee anticipate being able to give us further information today?
Sure.
If you can, great. If you can't, that's
At
great
what
too.
time would you like?
Well, we're going to have to break for lunch here shortly, but I'd say maybe 1 o'clock would be an excellent.
1 o'clock would be a
No,
wonderful
actually,
time for
2 o'clock would be the latest, between 1:30 and 2. You'll have to meet elsewhere then.
You'll have the recommendation of Albuquerque on your desk.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on for now. The Hall of Fame Committee.
Written report and no action items.
No further action from the Hall of Fame Committee at this time, not unexpectedly. There is no report from the Marketing Committee. The Membership Committee did not have a written report. Wade was with us earlier. Wade, there you are. Okay.
Like you said, there was actually no report, but there is a lot of interest, and I'm kind of blown away by how much interest there's been on the IGRA. You know, I'm one of the moderators, and all the people that are interested in seeing IGRA stay in Canada. I think we're going to kind of have to wait and see. Nothing can be done yet, but there is some huge interest, and I've spoken with one of the people that from there that's wishing to move forward with another association with the formers and with some new and trying to make something happen. And one of the first people within literally within minutes of IGRA posting something about that, responding back, please, no, what can we do? Can we help them? And so there's a huge interest out there. It looks like that we're gonna have to wait and see what happens within the next few months. But also we're trying to set up a meeting with the folks from Mexico, and there's some huge interest there. We don't know how it's gonna work, and but we're moving forward, and I really am, and I expressed to you guys about looking outside the box of what you've done for 30 years and checking into some new ideas. I think one of the things that we need to look at too is when I started with IGRA, I think the participation with straight people was less than 10%. And I think if we looked at it and actually sat down and looked at the numbers, we're probably more at 40% now with some of our straight competitors. We need to look at that when we plan our activities for our rodeo, and we're including these people and they're coming, that they need to be able to be included within the whole weekend, awards, everything. So that's just something to put out there. With membership, we have so many of these straight families and straight groups coming into our organization. Maybe we need to look at some more family friendly, not just within our community, but outside of our community as well.
Anyone have any questions for Wade and the Membership Committee? I have one, Wade, and that is specifically, what do we need to do between now and 45 days from now with any of these associations that are potential out there to help prepare them for any action they might want us to take at convention? Because we do have a timeline, the fuse is burning.
Well, and I guess I don't know what the legal ramifications and all of that are going on with Canada right now and how we can even move forward.
IGRA is, what has happened with IGRA has no effect on anything else.
Okay.
So you have a blank slate.
Well, they hope to have something back to me within the next 2 weeks. As far as Mexico, we're trying to set that up. You know, when they say in Mexico, un momento, I mean, that can be 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 week. and the language barrier is getting better, and we have, there's supposed to be some people from the Vaqueros here this weekend at this rodeo.
Well, let's make it a point to meet with them, because the one thing we need to impress upon them is that we only have certain opportunities to act on this, and we're approaching our one chance this year.
Right.
Okay, terrific. Thank you for that. Anything else for membership? Thanks, Ray.
You're welcome.
Do we have a report from the nominating committee?
No report.
Just a reminder that the nominating committee will be interested in hearing from anybody who wishes to seek an IGRA office in the upcoming elections. And with that, we'll move to the public relations report.
It was also written, that was distributed, and Ryan just basically outlined an activity something from May 27th through July 5th. No action.
Any questions with regard to the PR report that was distributed? Very well, and again, thanks to Ryan. You may not realize how much work and effort he does on our behalf, literally on a daily basis. He monitors any commentary that might bring up key phrases like gay rodeo or animal welfare and things like that. So he's constantly on the lookout for things that might affect us. Rodeo officials, Ron Trusley.
Sent a written report, so really nothing other than to say that in the trustees meeting, Debbie will be recommending 2 people for certification. And I did just get an email recently, that's not on the report, from somebody interested in entering the scorekeeper certification program.
Do we have a report from Rodeo Rules?
None.
I wouldn't expect one at this time, but Ron, can you remind us of the date on which proposed changes to the bylaw standing written rodeo rules are due 60 days prior to convention?
Yes, 60 days prior to convention.
The date, do you know the date?
Not offhand.
It should be a Tuesday in September.
Seventeenth. Oh, here, where's my schedule over here? 17th to the 20th, I think.
18th through the 20th.
Okay, 18th. So September 18th is the Sunday.
Well, 60, the calculation should actually run to a Tuesday.
Okay, then that would be September 20th.
Okay. We believe September 20th is the date on which all proposals are due in the respective committee chairs' hands. We have a report on university.
The written report and no action items, but they are encouraging for sustainability of the event. We need the support of the entire board of directors. Encourage your local boards, memberships, royalty to attend. If you have suggestions for course content or suggestions for instructors, please contact Andrew Goodman, and the new IGRA University site will launch August 1st.
Does he indicate in that report the deadline date for hotel booking?
Yes.
Oh, I think it's December for the hotel.
Yeah, it's December. It's not in the report, but it is December or something from our previous meeting, so it'll be on the website. It's around mid-December there.
Recall that the deadline date for registration for hotel registration for university is mid-December and immovable. There will be no, oh, we got 3 extra days or an extra week. On that date, the hotel rate quits. Do you have a report from Women of Gay Rodeo?
None.
With respect to the Archives Committee, I have asked Frank Carroll to retain a membership on the committee, but I have asked Tom Lott to assume the duties of the chair at the present time. This is a recent development. Tom, are you prepared to address the board on anything with regard to archives at this moment?
I am, in fact. The archives continue to grow. We're getting programs from the rodeos. If, in fact, we don't attend your rodeo, mail us 5 programs, and I will reimburse you the mailing expense, so we can get it in the archives and keep them there. Yesterday, we received a 1993 buckle, which is gorgeous. So that's growing. The last thing I want to say is, in the last month, there has been an interest, which I find astounding. Sorry. The Smithsonian Institution wants to take some of our archives and put them on display for the nation. That is phenomenal.
And on that subject, we're intending to coordinate our efforts with those of the Gay and Lesbian Rodeo Heritage Foundation, to see to it that that is accomplished. It is going to require some funding, which they've committed to help provide. It may be necessary or possible that IGRA will also need to assist in providing some funding for that if we are able to go that way. Essentially, what the Smithsonian Institution has offered is the opportunity to have a curated selection of about 30 cubic feet, I recall, of the most significant items that tell the story of gay rodeo, whether they come from our association or elsewhere. So it's vital to conceive of those particular items that best tell the story, the most unique things that have a significance in our history that would be part of this. Some of them may be part of our archives today, and some of them may not. There may be treasured pieces that people have not yet elected to give up to our care for various reasons, but they may be much more interested in something of significance residing in a permanent fixed location within the Smithsonian Institution. I hope you appreciate the gravity and the significance of that invitation as, I mean, where else would you want to be, right? Tom?
We need to select the story that we tell. That's going to be most important.
And at the present time, we conceive of this as probably a couple years project to bring it to fruition. Isn't that about right?
Yes.
What else would you like to report on?
Nothing else.
Well, that's pretty good.
I have something for you. I actually have a DVD of the very first IGRA vaulting competition.
Really? We'd love to have it.
Does anyone have any questions about the report of the Archives Committee? Frank, I want to thank you for your work in leadership on the Archives Committee, and more importantly, your interest and willingness to continue your work in cataloging and preserving the items for us. And Tom, thank you for agreeing to step in and provide the leadership for the committee in the future.
Thank you for making the change.
Arena crew coordinators, do you have a report from Cammy Bowles?
No.
Very well. Health and safety, Roger Jack, who has conveniently gone to fix our lunch.
And he had no before he said.
Thank you. New member recruitment, Sonny Kerner's not available. Sonny has spent a great deal of time out of the country handling rather significant affairs, which necessarily require his undevoted attention. He and I are talking about how to proceed with this, because this is something I think we definitely need to continue and refine in terms of what we've done. We're beginning more slowly than we had hoped to have reaction and response to the initiatives we adopted at last convention with regard to matching funds for the rodeos, for World Day Rodeo Finals, for rough stock, and for rodeo schools. So we are getting response to them. We will not have enough data to make an intelligent analysis by the time we get to convention, so I'm suspecting we're going to look for a way to continue this into the future so that we can refine what we're doing. I will point out one thing for you to take away from this meeting today. This rodeo is the first to accept the challenge of the rough stock riding matching funds. There's $1,500 on the table this weekend for men's and women's bulls, broncs, and steers. Presently, there are no registered contestants for broncs, but last year there was a walk-up contestant for this rodeo, so we may still see somebody. But no matter what happens this weekend, we know that not all of that prize money will be awarded. I would anticipate that at least $1,000 of the $1,500 will roll in this prize pool to the very next rodeo that chooses to participate. Currently, no rodeo has identified that they are planning to participate in this. So if they participate, the 750 that they wrangle locally, plus the 750 that IGRA would match, plus the 1,000 or so that rolls over from this weekend, would take $2,500 into the next participating rodeo. All right, we have a report on nonprofit transition, and would you go ahead and present that, Ron?
A brief overview of the last meeting was just simple. From convention, they've been working with CPA about suggested changes to bylaws, which some were done at convention. Critical importance, update for the board. After several attempts to contact the CPA who provided suggested changes to IGRA bylaws, I was able to talk with her. Telecom meeting set up for next Tuesday to go over next steps and preparing for C3 application submittal. And for your information, this CPA firm just finished assisting IGRA with submitting their application. Report submitted by Frank Mazzo.
Any questions on that? Very well, we'll move to the social media. John Hill did not get his report in earlier, but he did provide a written report to me and Ron for forwarding, and I will have to read it out to you because I'm becoming familiar with it for the first time. First off, please accept my apologies for not being there today. I recently started a new job, and I'm very limited with time off in the short term. Secondly, I would like to acknowledge that IGRA's social media presence has not been as robust the past 6 months as I would have liked it to be. I don't believe it is productive to go into detail about what happened, but please know that I have been conscious of it and am taking steps to address my schedule to have it be a higher priority going forward. At the January board meeting, I asked that all trustees, this is important, please send events and items of interest to the IGRA community to me, that would be to John Hill, so I can help promote their events. Unfortunately, I have received no content from any associations to share, which leads me to search sites and Facebook pages for content. If your associations send content, I will make sure it is shared out in an appropriate platform. His email is cgrajohn, common spelling, @gmail.com, or you can send content to the IGRA Facebook page and we will share it from there. Laura Scott has expressed an interest in creating an Instagram account for IGRA, and I support this idea, so we will work together on making this happen. Unfortunately, platforms that are more mobile-driven like Instagram and Snapchat are more difficult to allow multiple people to access. We're looking at ways to make this happen since it is impossible for one person to be at every IGRA and IGRA affiliated event. Once we get this platform worked out, we will then look to see if Snapchat is an option, as I promised in January. Snapchat is tied to a phone number, so this will be more difficult to work out, but we'll also look at making that available. If you have any feedback for John, please let him know, and he'll be happy to take it into consideration. Any questions on his report? Very well. It is 11:57. I don't mind giving you an extra 3 minutes for lunch. We'll go ahead and recess. Do you want 45 minutes and return at 12:45, or do we need an hour so you guys can rest without fresh air or whatever? Hour it is. See you at 1. And remember to thank Roger Jeff and
I'm in a meeting right now.
Now 1 o'clock, a quorum of the board is present. I reconvene this board of directors meeting of the International Gay Rodeo Association. I ask us to express our gratitude to Roger Jack. Thank you, Roger.
Certainly good to meet
There are snacks remaining, bagels, muffins, soft drinks, water over in the cooler if you'd like to help yourself throughout the afternoon. One programming note I neglected to mention earlier, and I apologize. We currently have a vacancy on the Executive Board of Directors that we need to fill in the Board of Trustees. So we're going to change the order of meetings today so that the Executive Board will follow the Board of Trustees so that the Executive Board can meet with a full complement when the time comes. So the Board of Trustees will follow the conclusion of the Board of Directors. I will recall the World Gay Rodeo Finals Committee.
Right. Although the recommendation of our committee was not approved by this body earlier, we have conference during your lunch break. And would propose, based on what we heard from individuals in here, that the 2017 finals be held in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This is our choice, but without the recommendation of the committee.
Is there a motion that Albuquerque be the site of the 2017 World Gay Rodeo Finals? I have a motion and a second. Merlin. Is there discussion on the motion? And I do need the time, please. Thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion? There being no discussion, all in favor of the motion to have the World Gay Rodeo Finals in 2017 in Albuquerque say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The motion passes. The World Gear Rodeo Finals of 2017 will be in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we appreciate the extra work of the committee in handling that for us. I have no old business before the Board of Directors. Am I missing anything at this point? Very well. We'll proceed to the consideration of rodeo applications for approval. We have 5. They are from AGRA, TGRA, FGRA, DSRA, and GSGRA Greater Palm Springs Chapter. We may take them as a block or individually. What is your will? Lisa?
Make a motion to take them separately.
It is the motion that we handle them individually. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that motion? None appearing, all in favor? Yes, Bruce Roby?
Is there a reason for
I have some
accepting all?
questions on one of the applications.
Can you pull that one?
Yeah.
Can we just
Yeah.
pull that one?
We want to.
The motion's been made. Let's just act on the motion.
Okay.
All in favor of the motion to handle them individually, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
Nay.
The motion is defeated. The request is, can we pull the one that you have questions about? That one being?
FGRA.
Is there any objection to holding FGRA for individual consideration? There being none, we'll proceed with the consideration of AGRA, TGRA, DSRA, GSGRA, Greater Palm Springs Chapter. All in favor of the approval of those 4 applications, excuse me, is there any discussion? She did. Is there any discussion on those 4? Now, all in favor of approving those 4 applications, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and rodeos are approved for AGRA, TGRA, DSRA, and GSGRA Greater Palm Springs Chapter. Now, with regard to the application for FGRA, you're on.
Okay, I had a question on, they haven't had a rodeo in the last 2 years, and I didn't see a
No,
budget.
last year.
Did you have a rodeo?
No, we didn't last year.
Okay.
That's the only one we missed.
The application, where it says, did you hold a rodeo in the last 2 years, it says, or, yes, or has it been 2 years? But in fact, it will be 2+ years, full years before you have a rodeo.
Oh, okay, I got you.
The intent of the application would have been if you've skipped 2 years, we want to see that. Is that the point?
That is correct.
And you did not include that.
Mhm.
So, that is the status of the application. That being the case.
And my question was about the budget, because if you didn't have a rodeo within the last 2 years, you're supposed to drop down to the next 2 questions, and one of them was the budget. And then I got concerned when you said y'all would use your reserves. Well, I hate, so I'm just concerned. And I
Would you
know.
like to address that?
Yeah,
point
I'll
first?
address that. I think we misinterpreted that, and that's why it wasn't included. I have, I can get you a budget, that's no problem. The situation is, the reason we put the application in, the reason it's TBD on a lot of stuff is because we have an arena that we were looking at. If we get that arena, then we will probably do the rodeo. If we don't, we probably will not do one next year. But we won't know that for a couple of weeks. Our annual meeting is on the 23rd. Our rodeo directors are appointed, and it's going to be a brand new board. So we can't put a rodeo director down until we have the meeting on the 23rd, and that's appointed, and that's why we don't have that. Our annual meeting should have been in June, and we wouldn't have had this problem, but it turns out the time that we had our meeting scheduled was Pride weekend in either St. Pete or Tampa, I can't remember. It just was not a good time to go against, so we had to change it to July. So that's why everything's kind of not a whole lot on there. If this arena isn't something we can do, then we probably will not have one. That's the date we knew that they had availability for it. And it may be we can find something else. If not, we just will withdraw the application. So.
And the crux of the matter for us is that based on the way our rules are structured, this is their only opportunity to present an application for our approval under the normal the structure of our rules. So if we accept their application today and give them approval, we've got their $700. If in 2 weeks they're not going to hold a rodeo, we would know, but we're still keeping the $700. Guy, I believe I saw your hand first.
I was gonna make a motion. I move that we contingently approve this request with the stipulation that it not be published on the calendar until they confirm their venue.
Can we be a little more specific on the confirming of the venue part? Let's provide a time frame by which.
That would be up to Barbara. I don't wanna just put one out there that's not reasonable.
I think we could probably confirm it by the end of August.
By August 31st.
Okay. If I have heard correctly, we are about to consider a motion to approve FGRA's rodeo request contingent on their confirming a venue before August 31st and not to publish it until such time as it has been confirmed. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, by contingent, I assume that approved means approved, meaning that the money stays in our bank. Okay. Okay. But all we're doing is we're giving you the opportunity to finalize that before we put it out there and let get you.
That's a point of order, I think.
Sure.
I think. But if he's making a motion that's contingent, it's contingent on all sides, as far as the money goes and the publishing, because part of the benefit of getting a rodeo approved is publishing on the website. I'm just not sure that the motion's in order, and we've had this discussion several years ago over other rodeos. It's either we're going to either approve it or not going to approve it.
Okay.
And all the benefits come to both sides for that.
The point of order is well taken in that we're attempting to do something that's not conceived of in our rules. We do have a rule that says that the annual convention can direct the board of directors to consider an application out of time. But that would mean then that we can't give approval for this rodeo until November following the close of annual convention. Okay? So that is the reality of the structure of our rules. The understanding I have is that this is governed by the bylaws and not the standing rules. Is that correct? I'm not looking at it right now. So anybody know the answer to that?
Yes.
I think
One way or the other. Okay. So standing rules we have latitude with. Bylaws we basically do not have latitude with. So.
But I think my point of order was that we were going to allow a motion that made it, I don't know what words to use, but made it beneficial to IGRA and punish the association.
Very well.
Punish.
Well, having misunderstood your order, disregard what I just said.
Right, and that's what. Because you can't take away a benefit if you're going to approve it.
What I understand is that you believe the motion to be defective and that it should address the point of the money.
Can I rephrase the motion?
Absolutely.
Since it hasn't been said. I move to approve FGRA's rodeo application with the caveat that they do not publish it on the calendar until they confirm their venue, period. The only reason I'm doing that is I don't think we should put any more rodeos out there on the calendar and then turn around and cancel them. I don't think it looks good.
We
This
have
is
no
nothing
problem.
about punishment or making them judge release. This is about
We have
perception.
absolutely no problem with that. We just wanted to be able to get the date in. If we could have it, since it would be November, so we have no problem.
Gene wanted to address his frustration with the motion as it stands. He's put his hand down. Tom?
Sorry, I have two questions. One, what city would it be in if in fact you had a rodeo? And number two, why wouldn't you go back to Bergeron?
Okay. Interesting questions, not pertinent to the issue on the floor, which is whether or not we're going to second this motion. We may get to that, Tom.
Okay.
Is there a second to the motion to approve the FGRA rodeo application with the caveat that it not be published until confirmed. And I believe I heard an ample second. Is there discussion on the motion?
Yes.
Ron's hand is up first, so he gets to go first.
I just want to go back when you said bylaw or standing rule. It is a standing rule.
Excellent.
I said bylaw, but it also, in the standing rule, to point out something, section 7 of Rule 12, rodeo shall be sanctioned by the board of directors, and then it tells when, but then it's kind of confusing. Then we approve at convention our calendar.
Sure. Well, we're on approving
Right.
the application, which is
Right.
effectively sanctioning.
Yeah. And of course, there's nothing about contingent approval.
Okay.
Anyway.
I will observe that the rule as I see it written does not require it at a regular board of directors meeting, which I had understood it to be. Am I missing something there?
Rodeo shall be sanctioned by the board of directors.
Okay. Having said that, then we have the opportunity to conduct a special board of directors meeting to do that at a later time. The motion is to approve the FTR application caveat, with the caveat that it not be published until confirmed. It has been seconded. Is there any discussion, Gene?
As long as FGRA is okay with this and the possibility, I mean, because of them losing their $700, representing an association who almost was in this situation now 2 years in a row, where we would have lost our $700. Fortunately, that hasn't happened, but I really have a problem with making motions like this that, in my view, limits the benefits to the association until they do something else that nobody else has to do. And if I just come in here with a budget and stuff and say I'm going to do a rodeo on this date, and for example, like I did this past year for this year's rodeo in North Star, it gets approved, and if I'd had to cancel it last week, I would have had to cancel it last week. Period. I still lost my $750, but you advertised it all year long. So singling out this one application really doesn't sit well with me for those reasons. I mean, you can't guarantee it's going to happen. If they can give you a city, then it should be published, whether they have to cancel it or not.
Thank you, Gene. Any other discussion? Ron?
I think that, and I'm not speaking in opposition to the motion or in favor either right now, but I think that if it's approved contingently, then considered later or final approval or how we're going to do it, the budget's going to need to be in place so it can be posted again for review by the board at least 14 days in advance according to the requirements to be a complete application.
I appreciate your opinion on that. That is not what the motion reflects, but thank you for bringing it up. Is there any further discussion of the motion at this time?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Will there be two choices, one to vote on this and one to vote just to, as is?
You know, you can certainly do whatever you want after this motion is done.
Okay.
Okay. As long as it's not doing this motion again.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion on the motion? The motion is to approve the FGRA application with the caveat that the date not be published until confirmed. All in favor of the motion?
Wait. Can I ask a question?
You sure
So,
can.
if you contingency approve it, and then we don't get this arena and we cancel, we lose the $750.
The motion does not address it as contingent, and it doesn't address what happens to the money. My answer based on the motion before us is yes, we keep the money.
And I might add, it's not $750, it's $700, if you want to up the price.
So can we delay that vote for a minute and give me a chance to go back to my association?
I have no problem with passing to other business and Tom.
So you need a motion to table? You're going to table my comments, but I will make a motion after this motion is finished that you do not pay that money.
You already did.
We already
I already
did.
paid it, it's already in
All
the
right.
bank, but it can be refunded.
If there's no objection, we will table the motion till later in the meeting and call it back after Barbara has an opportunity to consult her association. We will now proceed to consideration of the board meeting schedule for 2017. And Ron, would you like to start that for us, please, with the information that we've received?
Yes, we received information. The SRA is interested in hosting a board meeting April 28th, CGRA July 7th, NMGRA August 20th. And then, of course, we have that annual convention date to be determined.
And while it is not required that we hold the board meeting in conjunction with IGRA University, it has been our practice and we don't have a conflicting invitation. Please note that CGRA and NMGRA would be two requests for the same quarterly meeting, the third quarterly meeting. And so unless there's another party interested in hosting, we would need to decide among those two which we prefer to hold the board meeting at. Given the information that we have, is there any other association who wishes to step forward and extend an invitation to host a 2017 Board of Directors meeting? Tom?
I apologize. Can Ron give me those dates again slowly?
Sure.
If we did it at university, as has been, it would be January 13th, DSRA April 28th, CGRA July 7th, and MGRA August 20th. Then convention that's required on Thursday, date to be determined.
Thank you.
Okay. So given what has been offered to us, is there anyone who wishes to offer a motion that would cover all of the proposed board meetings, stipulating one choice over the other between CGRA and NMGRA?
Okay.
Ron?
Okay, I'll move because I want to. I move that the board meetings be IGRA University, January 13, DSRA, April 28, NMGRA, August 20th, and convention, date to be determined.
Is there a second to that motion?
A second.
Thank you, Candy. Is there any discussion on the motion? Do you want to discuss it, Ron?
If I can just say my piece.
Absolutely.
And the only reason that I did it that way is to try to keep as equal this amount of time between the meetings as possible. In July, if we, at CGRA would be so far away from convention, and NMGRA would be closer is my main reason for doing that.
Lisa?
That's also a good point if, to have it in New Mexico, which might venture a trip to another city in New Mexico to look at the finals area.
Very good thinking. Frank?
Did you say August 20th, 2017?
That is what he said. Is that
Is that not
correct?
right?
I have that as a Sunday.
Can we,
Oh, let me look right here. On the 2017 event schedule, the date's August 18th through the 20th.
Yeah.
You said the 20th.
Yeah, you
20th
said 20th.
is Sunday.
Oh.
It would be the 18th. All right.
So
So
August 18th.
we'll correct the error in the motion. Thank you, Frank, for noting that. We do have the motion. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the proposal to have the 2017 Board of Directors meeting at IGRA University on January 13th, at DSRA April 28th, at NMGRA on August 18th, and at the IGRA convention date to be determined, say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and that is where we're going and when. We will proceed with, well, the next item is the 2017 Annual Convention interest expressed by DSRA. DSRA is not expected to present a full proposal to the board at this time, but if you'd like to at least give us some overview or whatever of your desire to host the convention.
Between Sandy and I, we found a diamond in the rough in Little Rock, and it's called the Holiday Inn Conference Center. And they have everything that you need or want convention-wise. They have two restaurants, they have a bar, they have overflow hotels right across the Holiday Inn Express, which is right there by the airport too. It's a good thing to have. I mean, I don't. That's for university.
Actually, when we went to see this, we had no idea that their remodeling had been as extensive as it has. I mean, there are rooms for board meetings, there are classrooms, there's anything that you could possibly want, and if you really are desperate, you can walk to the airport from there. So you get off the airport, take a shuttle, you're there 3 minutes, and back to the airport. They have trolley car rides, they had shuttles, and anything else that, actually, all we had to do is say, do you? They said yes before we finished. So we're really pleased with it, and we would love for it to be considered, yes, sir.
So there's enough rooms for the committee meetings on Friday?
There's enough rooms for 1,800 committee room meetings. It's beautiful.
He has like 12 to 15 meeting rooms.
Okay.
He's got like suites that he's throwing in a suite here. I mean, guys, just.
It's 2-story suites, so if you want to party downstairs while the others sleep upstairs, I mean, it's gorgeous.
Well, of course, we'll look at the particulars of the
Yes.
meeting space.
Oh, and the price is good too.
Yeah. But the key thing for us having it on the agenda today is so that we know that we have viable options ready to be presented at the convention for consideration, so that we don't end up in the same position we're in this year. Now, once again, I'll ask, is there anyone else who's interested in creating a proposal for 2017 convention to bring to this year's convention?
I have a question. What would the proposed dates be?
Lisa, dates?
I didn't, he had November of 2017.
Oh, it's all open
Yes,
at this point.
All right. We will want to go ahead and identify some dates and have them at least block them for
I
us.
think we did, but.
Okay, all right. And just to remind you, the process is anybody who's contemplating putting forward a bid for 17 or 18 needs to submit that bid in writing 60 days prior to the convention to the Executive Board of Directors. The Executive Board of Directors has to establish the delegate fee for everybody, which I think will actually try to take up today because we're supposed to do it in advance of the proposals. So that you know how much you can plan on from IGRA. The delegate fee currently is $125 per delegate. And then whether you presented a written proposal to the board or not, you may still present at the convention for 17 and or for 18. And if no one presents or no proposal is accepted for 17, then it falls back to IGRA to plan the convention for itself. We're not really that interested in taking that responsibility if associations want to. While we're talking about 17 now, this is the year, the convention at which we're supposed to make decisions for 18. So we really need somebody to decide that their association would like to vie for the opportunity to host us in 18 and get that to the convention for consideration this November. Otherwise, we're a year behind. And that limits us and costs us more. So there's no action to be taken today other than information. Is there anything further, Lisa, that you want to share on your anticipated bid?
No, all I'm going to say is they are so anxious to host, whether it be convention, university, our rodeo, finals. They're out there.
Oh, 15% off in the bar.
Now, turning our attention to 28 University, we have received an interest expressed from DSRA. Is this the same hotel?
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
It's that good, guys.
And this was sent to everyone?
No,
Okay.
Because I didn't know we were going into detail, I
Got
just
it.
asked them to send that.
Okay.
To review.
All right, thank you. And I also have interest expressed from OGRA, soon to be GPRA and RIS, but you know,
There's preliminary Frankfurt for
okay.
me.
Yeah, I didn't type anything.
That's
I
all right,
have everything
that's all
going on. We were thinking about university happening at the Havana Inn. They're redoing all the rooms. They're tossing out all the furniture. They're getting new furniture. Those who are at the hotel, needless to say, some of y'all got some of the new stuff because they've only done 30 rooms out of the 280. So classrooms free, hotels like $160 a night. We have the restaurant there for banquet. If not, we have the boom upstairs up the hill that we can have banquet and stuff in. So they will literally clear out the rooms. We can set the rooms any way we want, anything like that for us. And then also to get more of a calling card to get people more interested, we offer several different other things at that time that people could take part in. We also have the International Finals Rodeo going on at the same time. If you like museums, you can go to the National Gallery Hall of Fame going on. Or if you like sporting events, we have NBA. Or if you want to go gamble, there's a casino 5 miles down the road. We have it all there in Oklahoma.
This slip doesn't give anticipated dates, right?
Whenever you want, I'll make it happen.
Well, now, you did say that the IFR was in town, so that kind of suggests that there's a particular date you have in mind.
It's always
What was your last?
the same days as our university for the second week.
Yes, it's generally that holiday weekend.
Yeah. It's always the same way, because I always come to the board meeting and then drive all the way up so I get my VIP pass and go sit up there and drink and watch the radio.
I'm just saying, I'm looking for dates.
Good. As I said, I didn't know if I'd have any information. I was getting everything ready for convention.
It benefits us to make a decision about university sooner rather than later. If we want to do it as the full board, we need to do it today. Schedule a full board of directors meeting specifically to consider the two proposals from the associations, or hold it over to convention. What's your pleasure in that regard? Or delegate it to the executive board. For university, decision for university. Do you wish to make that decision today, hold it over to the November meeting, schedule a special meeting, or delegate it to the executive board of directors?
Do it today.
All right. Candy says, do it today. Frank, are you ready to present fully your proposal?
Not fully, but we can go for it.
All right. We'll give you a few minutes to recollect yourself and be ready while we give DSRA the opportunity to present your proposal to us.
Yeah, you got it. She's got it.
Well, I thought everybody was gonna get a copy of the letter, but.
Well, no, and that's my fault, because I didn't understand we're supposed to have full proposals today. It was just interest, so.
Well, I'm gonna read you what we proposed to the board. Okay. The Diamond State Rodeo Association, located in the great state of Arkansas, would like to offer the city of Little Rock for your location for 2018 IGRA University. The SRA is partnered with the Holiday Inn Conference Center in Little Rock, and having events such as IGRAU is ideal. The Holiday Inn has recently renovated their complex and offers beautiful and state-of-the-art meeting and sleeping rooms. Yeah. And I will expand right now on the sleeping rooms. They've packed them in there with all your conveniences that you need, except for the trip, the bodies. That you can.
You have to bring your own.
Bring your, okay. Located within the conference center is Boston's Restaurant and Sports Bar, which will be offering food and drink specials. They are amenities to fit the university's need. They will always have plenty of vodka. Listed below is the Holiday Inn's offering to IGRA. Rooms at $84 a night with breakfast.
That's a full breakfast.
Full breakfast. One comp sleeping room per 20, and complimentary hospitality room. Will not charge for the breakout meeting rooms. That's classrooms. 6 screens for rooms will be $313.92. 50 banquet deli sub meals, that could be, he asked me what kind of meal do we normally have for the Sunday afternoon banquet, and last year we had deli meals, and I thought that would go well again. Those are at $1,000.82.
That's $20 essentially per person.
Per person. Cookies and sodas each break at $176.73, which comes to a total of $353.76. He will not charge for the ballroom price if you do lunch and both breaks. The ballroom itself is $2,000. In other words, if there's a dance, if you need the ballroom, and we do the
Dance.
the meals, he won't charge us the $2,000.
And the meals are about $1,000.
For the banquet on Sunday only, that's the only meal that's part of.
Well,
the
and he's talking the cookies and sodas.
And the two
Yeah,
breaks.
but-
So it'd be
Not talking lunch on Saturday.
$1,350 for meals and the ballroom. Dance floor and stage will be complimentary in the ballroom. Bartender fee at $50 instead of the usual $150. And then he priced the wine at $6, beer $4, premium beer $5, and premium mixed drinks at $7. What a deal. Okay, the Holiday Inn Conference Center is nestled directly across I-440 from the Little Rock Airport. Yes, you could just about throw a rock in the lobby. You are 5 minutes away from the Little Rock River Market, Clinton Library, downtown sites, and much, much more. 2 of the gay bars, Sway and the New 16, are downtown. Chaps is 10 minutes away in Dogtown, and our disco and show bars might be 12 minutes away from the hotel. Just a stone's throw away.
And that's one of our local beers, by the way.
What?
Stone's throw.
Stone's throw away from most anything. Little Rock is a great place to have the IGRA, and we are proud to offer it for consideration. If it's a party you want, DSRA will order extra vodka, call in the DJ, and have a hall call in time. Between the Holiday Inn Conference Center and DSRA, we are aiming to please. We will order great weather and throw in some moonshine to boot. Thank you for your consideration and time, Sandy.
Bear in mind that they are going to offer a very similar proposal for university, which would be 2 months prior to this date we're considering now.
So you can vodka and moonshine yourself to death.
So my question to DSRA is, presuming that IGRA might give you one but not both, which of the two would you most desire?
Yes, trustee. We want them both.
And presuming that we'll give you one, which one would you pick as your first choice?
I'm leaving that to the trustee.
Yeah.
That's a tough one because we want our people to get to university.
Sure.
That's our goal. Because
Oklahoma City's 5 hours away.
I know. I know.
You know how those Arkansans, they can't drive that far.
That's right.
I promise
So
I'll
we-
keep you down.
Yeah, just a general comment. We have 2 excellent proposals. Why don't they decide among themselves first, and then we vote? We have a university, we have a convention, we are in Havana Inn, we're in Little Rock. Let them talk first.
I don't have any problem with you guys having a little moment to yourselves if you want to.
I'll meet you outside.
And we're done. Go.
Frank. Frank?
I have a comment dealing with convention. Little Rock is close enough that I will be able to supply most of the AV equipment. So if we were to pick some place on the East Coast for a convention, then that's a major portion of funding that had to come from someplace that I couldn't supply. About the only thing I can't supply are the screens.
And just bear in mind that, you know, we're only anticipating what we might do about convention. But,
Exactly.
Frank, in order to more or less make sure that we're on equal footing and so that we can ask questions about your proposed proposal, let's go ahead and hear from you before we excuse you guys to talk amongst yourselves.
Okay. When I talk, because I'm doing this kind of off the hips, I have to stand up. Okay. So, Oklahoma City University, great place to be. January's 13th, 14th, and 15th at the largest resort in the Southwest, gay resort in the Southwest. The Havana Inn, 3 clubs, 1 restaurant located in the center of Boys Town, Gay Town, just 27 blocks away from the arena where you can watch live our finals. Or if that's not your thing and you want to watch beauty pageants, as some of our royalty contestants might at their game, we also have the Miss Rodeo America pageant going on. For those who like museums, we also offer Cowboy Hall of Fame, Old Memorial Bombing. We also have the National Reining Horse Association Museum there. For those who are thrill seekers, we have gambling, mini casinos all the way around. We're Indian country. Indians, we play casinos. And that's basically it. Also, room rate $69 a month. I mean, $69 a day. $69 a day. All the rooms are being redone as we speak. New mattresses, new linens, new paints, new everything throughout them all. All the conference rooms basically are just going to be rooms that have in the process of being renovated with the paints. They're just going to leave out the furniture until we're done with it. So we can move, rearrange everything, no cost. So dance floor, we got the finish line. If we want to do a dance competition, not needed. As for menus and stuff like that for banquet, we have the Lido, the restaurant there in the hotel. Plus we also have another option of the Boom upstairs. Both meals are probably going to run you about the same, $15, $20, but they would cater it to what we want. We have full choice, full reign, basically the whole entire complex.
Frank, I'm not familiar with the meeting room spaces that are available at that facility.
What it is, they're going to wipe out the whole side over here by the finish line. All the rooms right there, they're going to take out all the furniture and everything, so each classroom would be a room just right over there to the side.
Yeah, my understanding is that these rooms will basically be the size of a sleeping room, and no rooms will be joined together to make larger rooms.
Correct.
So maybe 20 people capacity.
For your classrooms there, yes.
Okay.
As for like meeting space and everything like that, for like here, we can do that down at, there's several options. We can do it down at the Copa, the whole big dance floor just set up there for have our board meetings.
Michael?
So for the Havana to have convention would.
University.
Oh, yeah, okay, this is, okay, never mind, okay.
Yeah, we're not putting in bid for convention, just
Okay.
university.
Okay.
Because we're thinking it's going to be about 50 to 75 people.
Michael has got the floor, followed by Ron, followed by Candy.
I'm done.
Okay, Ron?
Franklin?
Yes, sir.
I think you answered the question, but, well, two-part question, I guess. First, have you considered any other venue other than Havana?
We have considered like the Biltmore over there for that one. But as we said, IFR's in town.
Okay.
So there, it's all the hotels, even where closed or around that, are jammed hard.
Okay, and my second question, and I want to preface it, is not that I ever knew anything about what Havana was like before. I've heard rumors from some people, but has that changed?
Yes, it has.
Okay.
They have added additional security throughout.
It's
the
more
park.
like a regular hotel now.
Mhm.
Good, that's what I needed to hear.
Andy?
Now he's gonna vote against it.
No.
What is the, do they have a finish date of when they're gonna have all the renovation done?
The whole renovation, they're thinking of their spring of 18. As I said, there's 280 rooms. So he's going just a few of them.
50 tops.
Okay, got it.
In answer to the unspoken question.
Spring of 18 or spring of 17?
18.
Spring of 18.
Well, that's after university.
That's what I'm saying. He'll have those rooms emptied for us to use for meeting rooms, for classrooms. And then we'll be, as soon as we're finished, then he'll come back in there and finish it all up.
Okay, but the people staying, the rooms people staying in?
We'll already be done.
Okay.
Lisa, I believe you had your hand?
Well, I did want to shoot DSRA in the foot, because we had first began talking with OGRA and being a joint university type deal. we would go help him. And, so if that's what happens, we will still help him, keep him organized and inspect the rooms.
And all snacks will be taken care of, so that's no cost there.
Are there any questions about either of the two proposals? All right. We'll let you two go talk amongst yourselves and see if you want to provide a unified vision to us or not. And if you do, we'll take that into consideration. If not, we'll make a choice. So we'll let you guys do that, and I see that we can return to Barbara Budd. Ms. Budd?
FGRA is going to withdraw their application.
Ooh.
Okay.
I'll cut you a check.
All right.
If you don't, I will.
Tom?
Am I allowed to make a motion?
Absolutely.
I would like FGRA to be refunded their money.
The motion is to refund the $700 application fee for the withdrawn application. Is there any discussion? Second. We already got one. Thank you, Terry. Any discussion? Not appearing, all in favor of refunding the money, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The motion carries. The ayes have it. The money will go back.
Was David saying I'll cut you a check on the money?
He was saying that, but you know, the motion was made. We'll deal with it. It's fine. Normally, I would think if you withdraw your application before that, I'm sure they would faith give you back your money, but now you know for sure you did. Okay. Thank you. Does FGRA anticipate possibly returning with an application in the future?
Yes.
Thank you. My understanding of the rule is that we can consider an application at a special board of directors meeting. And if I'm right on that, then that should make your life a little simpler. Yes.
We had a meeting.
Great. What did you?
We had a meeting, and DSRA will withdraw their university offer.
Thank you. We have a proposal in concept from OGRA to host the 2018 university, as you heard described by Frank. Is there a motion?
So moved.
What is your motion?
To choose OGRA for 2018 university.
Thank you, Terry. Is there a second? I see Tom Lott's hand. Is there any discussion on the motion to accept 2018 university at OGRA, Michael?
Can we specify the exact date so that we can communicate back to our folks?
We certainly can, Terry. January 13 to 15 was the proposed date. Is that part of your motion? Very well, thank you. Any further discussion? All right, go ahead.
So, I don't think we talked about room rates.
$69 a night.
Covering through.
Is that not funny? Sorry.
Lucky number.
What I've been doing is I've been talking to the owners and stuff like that, but we've had like pride and everything going, so it's always been a conversation like, hey, everybody, yeah, okay, cool. So I'm actually going to go back to him and sit down and try to get it cheaper than that, but right now it's $69 a night, no matter what.
And how many days on either side of the dates would we have that?
Yeah. As far as I know, yeah, I'll make sure that happens.
We're looking for how many days, or how many days would you like him to go
Well,
for?
traditionally, they do it from Wednesday to Wednesday.
3 days before and 3 days after.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the goal,
Okay.
is to get that rate or a better rate guaranteed from Wednesday.
Yep, and I should get that in the next week or two.
Very well, thank you. Frank. Is there any further discussion on the motion? If there's no further discussion on the motion, then the motion is to approve the OGRA request to host university in 2018, January 13 to 15 at Havana Inn, according to the discussion that was presented. Any, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Very few weak ayes, okay. All opposed say nay. More weak ayes than nays. The ayes have it. We're going to OGRA, soon to be GPRA, in January 13 to 15 in 2018.
Yes.
Great. We will now proceed to IGRA awards voting. And Ron, will you please share with us the names of the nominees?
Okay, and this is all on your ballot, but you got two. Colin Smith, A.K. Black Bart, Jacob Griffin, Janie Van Santen, Jeff Germany, Kevin McSweeney, A.K.A. Pussy LaHoot, Madison Devereaux, A.K. Mason Lyon, Megan Fallon, and Michael Butts.
May I ask if we know if any of those have previously received the international award?
I don't believe so. The only one that I'm not sure of is if Kevin has. But I don't think he has.
Did you not get the one we sent?
For the international award,
International.
this is the one that's
We
elected
sent-
by this board of
We
directors.
sent trustees and appreciation.
No, I'm a trustee and I sent in some
We have,
people's names.
For international.
For contestants.
That's trustees.
That's trustees. That's
Oh.
the trustee, okay.
all right. If you
And
wanna-
you're on there.
If you want to make sure that he's got those names on that.
Never mind.
They're on there.
All right, got it. We're just making sure we're on the right award, because we got 3 of them to get done by different groups.
She's still in Oklahoma.
It's okay. We'll borrow one of these ballots for tonight. All right. The bylaws specify that we will provide 5 of these awards, although we have not necessarily followed that in the past. There are 8 names provided for consideration. Barring any other action, the instruction will be to take this ballot, mark up to 5 names, and then the top 5 vote getters will be the recipients of the award. Having said that, if you'll please pass out the ballots. All members and alternates of the board of directors may vote.
Yeah, hey, get it easier. You're funny. You handed me 2, I didn't take 2. Oh, wait! Then I didn't get one at all.
Sam, may I ask you to serve along with Robin as tellers for this count? Gene?
Usually we don't announce them.
Well, I still need to get them counted, in case we have a tie among the 5.
Can, I mean, I don't remember from past years, so you'll just have to entertain me here. But does everybody know who all these people are?
I do.
All right, anybody give a little.
I met him once.
I can tell you who
Is
they
it
are on
Cabana?
information.
All right. We don't generally provide somebody the opportunity to kind of politic on their behalf, but if there is anybody who wishes to ask about a specific person, what they've done or anything like that, by all means, if you need clarification. Would you please read the criteria for the awards?
Yes. International award. This award is to recognize those members of IGRA who have made contributions to IGRA worthy of special recognition. Contribution can be in any of the activities that IGRA encompasses. And board of directors select recipients. IGRA will cover costs for no more than 5 awards.
Okay. So, again, is there anybody who has a question about a particular person on the list that they need more information about, or are you prepared to mark the ballot? So Sam and Robin, if you'll collect ballots and tally, what I need is I need the top five vote getters. Hello? Top 5 vote getters. If there's any tie in the 5th place, I need to know about it. Otherwise, just give me the names of the top 5. So I can tell us if we've got a decision. Hey, Ron, when we do this next year, let's move this voting higher in the agenda so that it's, you know, you can vote down. I think we have plenty of time to deal with this all that stuff. Just going from here and then it's just has everyone marked and returned their ballot? Now?
Did everybody? Once, twice?
The ballots are folded and put into this, you'll come to me.
I'm gonna mark that one as a tally sheet. Thank you. Since the only other business is the announcements, we'll go ahead and proceed through that, realizing that there's the possibility we may have some additional business yet to transact. We'll hold our host association CGRA to the end. TGRA.
More announcements. I know there's a couple of IGRA fundraisers coming up next month, August, middle to end of August. We have me, Mary, and Madison doing one at Indoor in Dallas, and then Jason has one coming up next week.
I have to look at a schedule.
I think yours is next week. Next couple of weeks, Jason has one there in Fort Worth, Club of Reflections. So if anybody's in town or close, come on over and watch on Facebook. We'll be posting posters and invites.
Thank you, Terry. GSGRA.
We'd first like to thank CGRA for hosting the meeting today, and again, Roger for fixing us a nice lunch. We appreciate that. The Best Buck in the Bay is coming up September 9th through 11th, and they've just announced $2,500 in added prize money to help bring along some folks, because Sacramento's following us the next weekend, so it's a good time to come up and spend a whole week in the Bay Area. Beautiful weather, and I forgot what the other thing was, so thank you.
Thank you, Grumpy. AGRA.
AGRA also thanks Colorado for today, this weekend's event, and for lunch, and our preparation for our next rodeo in February is well underway. Still trying to streamline and make it easier and better for all for our limited rodeo, and we're getting better at it. There's some changes this year, so that's where we're at.
Thank you, Bob. OGRA.
Wow, there's so much excitement going on. First, we'd like to thank Colorado. Thank you for the great food. Appreciate it. We finally got in contact with our tax name change people, and we had to send some minutes in, but it looks like that's going to be approved. But then he said, oh, come back here in 2 weeks because we're going to change you to C3 instead of a C4. So that process is still going on, so everybody knows where we are in the process of the name change. Other than that, some great things just happening. Excitement spreading all the way up to Tulsa. We're doing Tulsa events, Oklahoma City events. Rodeo's going crazy in Oklahoma. So just like us on Facebook. It's going to be a great time to see where it goes.
Thank you, Frank. And MGRA. And MGRA.
Oh, thank you. Of course, we have our rodeo coming up in about a month, I think. Santa Fe, the city's very supportive again this year. The city of Santa Fe is one of our biggest supporters. This year we're honoring the head of the tourism department. Last year we honored the mayor of the city, who's gay and cute. He's married now, by the way.
That's never stopped me.
And hope you all come out.
Brian, thank you to NMGRA for extending the invitation to the board meeting next year. We look forward to joining you.
Look forward to it.
And SGRA.
I just want to say thank you to CGRA for hosting us this weekend, and thank you to everybody who has supported us in preparing for our rodeo this year, particularly CGRA and Red River and AGRA stepped up and did things for us with cash, and that makes a big difference. I can say that through the excitement that those three associations generated, I personally believe that I got an email just a minute ago, we got our last buckle sponsored. All of our buckles will be sponsored this year, which means we made some money on the buckles and we won't have to pay for any. So, and if you have not done a rodeo before in that capacity, you know that you don't understand how much money that buckle sponsorships can generate for the organization. I didn't until I did this with them. So thank you very much. We look forward to seeing many of you in a couple weeks up there. It's going to be warm, but we'll be there. And we seem to have some excitement. We've actually had some ticket sales already, so that was kind of strange, but we dealt with it. But thank you.
Thank you, Gene. DSRA, Lisa.
Well, thanks for Colorado for sponsoring this meeting, hosting the meeting. Rodeo in the Rock is next April, and now we're having another board meeting. We're just tickled to death. We also would like for y'all to consider DSRA at the convention, for a convention. And also just to let you know that DSRA helped a fundraiser raise $10,000 for Orlando. We were pretty proud of that, and we felt the loss too. So anyhow, that's it.
Thank you, Lisa. ASGRA.
IGRA is probably about 48 people strong right now, and we're growing. IGRA has, in the past few years, converted from rodeo, because we don't have money, to social events. And we do things like a barrel race. We do things, charity events. We do campouts. But the truth is, IGRA is starting to ask the right questions. What do we need to put on a rodeo? How much money does it take? How many volunteers? Those are extremely important questions, and the entire board is asking them. I'm proud of that.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah. Done.
Thank you, Tom. NGRA?
We relinquished our date to Palm Springs this year, or for 2017, rather. And we are still scoping out different venues, and the plan is to get back on the calendar in 2017, but probably later in the year, so that's why we didn't submit an application today. We're working on, I think our application for 501c3 status has been submitted, so we're hopeful that will come back. And of course, we'll have finals in Vegas and University in Vegas. Hope to see you all there.
Thank you, guys. RRRA.
We want to thank CGRA for hosting this, and also Red River's decided we're going to host a silent auction while we're at the Minnesota Rodeo. I'm going to donate a bunch of buckles. We have a bunch of great silent auction items from our last thing that didn't go. We had too many things in our last fundraiser. So we're going to help them out, and all the proceeds will go to them.
Very good. Thank you. FGRA.
Thank you very much, CGRA, for hosting. We just did our first barrel event back in May, and it was a lot of fun. And it ended up being mostly the straight community. It gave us a really good chance to let ourselves be known in a different part of Florida than we have been before. And money-wise, it wasn't a whole lot, but it was the first time we'd done it. We gained a lot of experience and got our name out there, so we're going to try to do some more things like that. We have an annual meeting in 2 weeks, and it's going to be a brand new board except for me, and hopefully lots of new young blood.
Thank you, Bob. SCCGRA.
Okay, well, our rodeo's still on track. We just had a very good, successful fundraiser, which was a fireworks stand. We sold a bunch of fireworks so they could blow them off. So with that completed, we looking forward to a great rodeo. It's a week after the Bay Area, which is September 9, 10, 11. I hope everything should be good.
Thank you, Marilyn. SGRA.
Thank you to CGRA for hosting us this weekend, and Roger, thank you for lunch. And wish everybody a good weekend, be safe, and see you down the road.
Alan from Cotton State did not right, is that correct? Michael, Keystone.
Okay, thank you, Colorado, for hosting and the lunch. Keystone is still looking to do a rodeo in next June, weekend of 24th to 25th. They are actively working on that, and they're finding out it's a lot of work to do your first rodeo in a big way. We're doing trail rides. We've even partnering up with IGRA later in the year to do a trail ride close to where the two groups come together. We participated in several Pride events, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Harrisburg, and Reading. Our 501c3 paperwork is in the process of being done. We're having to make some minor tweaks to the bylaws in order for the 501c3 to hopefully process smoothly. August 20th, we have the Road to the Rodeo fundraiser. We've got most, if not all, of the IGRA royalty coming up, it sounds like. Looking forward to that. And Bruce will be coming up on that weekend. That's going to be at the 704 Lounge in Harrisburg. And that is it.
Thank you very much, Michael. I saw a hand, Frank.
I have a couple of announcements. There are several new pages on the website. One of them covers the technical and setup requirements for a convention. Another one for board meetings. And there's one which is probably not as much interest to most people, but it explains how the convention document system is running. In the last few weeks, I've decided to donate the server and other equipment that I've been using at conventions to IGRA, so that I will maintain hold of the material until such time as I drop out of IGRA. At that point, that equipment will become IGRA property. It's fairly straightforward to use, and I'm in the process of writing a document that explains exactly how to use it, and it should be good unless somebody drops it and physically breaks it. It should be good for 15 to 20 years.
Before we visit our last association, Brian, you had your hand up.
May I make a non-IGRA announcement?
Sure. Well, not knowing what it is, go ahead.
It's related to gay rodeo, but not IGRA.
Go ahead.
The Gay Lesbian Rodeo Heritage Foundation made contact recently with the Smithsonian Institute. The Smithsonian Institute, which isn't really a museum, it's a series of museums, is finally, after many, many, many years, being a very conservative museum organization, interested in pulling together the story of gay rodeo in the United States and Canada. And the Gay Lesbian Rodeo Heritage Foundation, whose mission it is to promote historical projects, etc., is allocating some funds towards the project. And the project looks like it's going to take a couple of years to complete, with a induction ceremony into the of objects, donated objects, memorabilia, etc., a limited amount. In a couple of years, they do a big sort of induction ceremony in Washington, D.C. So this project will culminate, rather, in a ceremony, possibly some sort of other celebration in Washington, D.C. in 2018. So I just want to inform you about that. It really is a major step forward in, I think, LGBT history, because again, the Smithsonian has never really been interested in the gay world, and they now have sort of changed their opinion, and their specific focuses. One of their specific focuses, they want the story of gay rodeo to be told. And as they say, they're in the forever business, which means they want our history to be forever held at the Smithsonian with other worthy projects. So I'll keep you posted on that. Bruce and I have had a couple of conversations about it. And as it develops, I'll let you know how it goes.
Thank you, Brian. I really do want to get to our last association. Tom?
I'd like to make a comment and a question. The comment is, and I'm not beating Brian up, it's not the Smithsonian Institute, it's the Smithsonian Institution. That's what James Smithson did when he gave the US the money to build this museum. But, love Brian, but it's extremely important that many of us work on exactly what to display. It has to tell the story. Has to. Okay, that's my comment. My question is totally unrelated. Where are we in 501c3 status?
That was reported earlier. The CPA has an appointment with our committee for a teleconference call on Tuesday in order to get their part of the application process completed and working. So, yeah. All right. CGRA.
Welcome to Colorado. Glad that y'all could make it, even though I hear some folks had some gas trouble out in the middle of nowhere. Do y'all not use gas? Nobody lives on that side of the state, so they don't really need it out there. We have a pretty packed weekend planned. Lots of things going on. Remember, tonight registration starts at 5 o'clock here on the grounds for contestants. After that, we have some parties planned at the bars downtown. Tomorrow night there's a show after the rodeo planned at Charlie's, as well as one planned at the Compound. So you can choose which bar you'd like. If you'd like some information on those, what the difference is between those two bars, see me privately, and I can fill you in. But it should be a good weekend. I think we had, David will tell me if I'm wrong, 64 pre-registered contestants, 65? 67. Wow. So we're anticipating 90 plus as per the norm. So we're looking forward to it. The registration at 5, barrel race starts at 6 if you're in the barrel race. Come register early. And I think that's about it for us. Welcome to Colorado. If you need anything, let me know, or let any of our board members know.
Thank you, Roger. The results of the voting for the International Award resulted in one undisputed first place vote and a 5-way tie for second. In the past, when this has occurred, there has been a motion to grant the award to all of the tied recipients.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Tom, or not, excuse me, I thought I heard you say it, but I saw his hand. Which one am I getting?
Second.
Okay, well, we'll go with you for the nomination and you for the second. Any discussion on the motion to award 6 international awards to the top 6 voters? There being no discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion passes, and these 6 people will receive the international award. That concludes the business of this board of directors. Guy, are we taking a break or are we going to grab?
Well, I was gonna call the meeting to order, but then we'll go into recess. But if what we could do, maybe not as orderly, but we have a vacancy on the executive board for the Division II chair that was vacated by Rob Summers. So if you guys, the 4 of you, are all here, right? If we could take a 15-minute break, and on that 15-minute break, you guys could caucus and elect a Division II vice chair.
It is 2:10, and we will adjourn the meeting of the board of directors, and the board of trustees will convene at 2:25.
We drove. I have racism.
Right? I call the meeting of the board of trustees to order at 2:25. Ron's going to do the roll call, the sign-in sheets. There's a sign-in sheet for trustees and alternates going around, and then there's a sign-in sheet for guests that are new.
Bob Pimentel.
Here.
Tom Lott. Here. Roger Japp. Here. Alan Thomas. Lisa Smith.
Here.
Barbara Bug.
Here.
Bruce Roby.
Present.
Joy DeCiccio. Michael Norman.
Here.
David Holt's not here. Guy Puglisi.
Here.
Brian Helander.
Here.
Gene Frakes.
Here.
Franklin Thompson. Here. Candy Pratt.
Here.
Merlin Jackson.
Present.
Chuck Browning,
Present.
and Terry Covington.
Present.
Okay, there's definitely a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, so the first thing, is the election, we had a caucus for the election of the Division II Vice Chair. And my understanding that was Roger Jack.
Thanks, Roger.
So welcome.
Roger.
Roger, you know you have another meeting after this now.
I heard. In your free
Welcome
time.
aboard.
So the next thing is the approval of the minutes from the pre and post from Dallas Rodeo, Palm Springs Rodeo, and Oklahoma City Rodeos. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve those as a package.
So moved. Second.
Who made the motion?
Terry moved, Michael second. Any discussion on those minutes? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries, minutes are. I don't believe there's any old business. Does anybody know of any old business? New business, I'm gonna take this out of order. And I'm gonna go down to, let's see, certification recommendations, turn that order over.
Rock has two recommendations for certification today. Both have met all requirements. The first is for Michael Norman for certification as auditor. And we had, as you remember before, set some special requirements for that, and he exceeded those requirements. Do you want me to do both of them at the same time? Or?
I don't think we should.
No. Okay, so for, the first is for Michael Norman to be certified as auditor.
Okay, so the Rock Committee has brought forward a recommendation for certification for Michael Norman as IGRA auditor. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Abstain.
I didn't call for abstentions. You can be abstinent later. Congratulations, Michael.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Go ahead.
The second one is, second recommendation is to certify Sam Polk from FGRA as scorekeeper. He too, again, has met all requirements and exceeded the minimum requirements.
So the committee has a recommendation for Sam Pope to be certified as a scorekeeper. Any discussion?
What's his last name?
Pope,
P-O-L-K.
Okay.
Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Welcome, sir. Okay. That's it?
That's it, two.
All right, so let's do the trustees award, and then while the ballots are going around, we can take care of the rest of the business.
Do you need the definition ready for that?
That would be. Some of us forget what the hell we're doing.
Trustees Award. This award is to recognize those contestants of IGRA who have exhibited excellence in the standards exemplified in the Code of Ethics and Sportsmanship. Trustees select recipients, and IGRA will cover the cost of no more than 5 awards, as written in the rules.
And we had 9 nominations?
10.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. But it could turn out somebody like international. Want me to distribute ballots now?
Sure.
Jason, you want to help me?
While Ron's passing
Only
those-
to trustees we're giving.
While Ron's passing those out, Tom,
What does one of the awards cost to make?
$25.
How much?
About $22 to $25.
I think they were more like 30, between $30 and $40. We said.
It's like a rating is.
Yeah. More than 30.
Okay, so the other items of business we need to take care of is we need a checklist, trustee and shadow, a rodeo review trustee and shadow, and a safety trustee. Do we have any volunteers before we do the volunteers? Tom?
Forgive me, I will stop talking, but at convention last year, I wrote up the information to put in the bylaws that we need a safety trustee. It never cleared the committee. They said that's part of the checklist responsibilities, and they turned me down. So, just a comment, but it should have been passed.
Oh,
Guys, can I make a comment?
sure.
What Tom is saying, I agree, it's very confusing, and the only reason I put it on this agenda is because Palm Springs, there was a safety trustee, some really there is, some there not, and I just think the trustees should start to be consistent on that, if you are gonna do it or if you're not.
I agree.
The only reason I put safety trustee or here is because there was one at Palm Springs, and some rodeos, there is, some there not, and it would make sense if the trustees would start to be consistent in either doing it or not doing it.
Yeah.
So I'll give the background on that for those, I mean, we were at Palm Springs, so I had stopped doing it because of what happened at convention. But then it was expressed that we decided to do it, so the trustees wanted to continue to do it. So then we started doing it
And
again.
then-
So we've been doing it
Yeah.
since.
Which was only one rodeo.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to fill out my ballots and I got paused, but I still haven't heard any volunteers for.
To do
We have
what?
plenty of trustees.
Oh, you want me to do checklist again?
If you're volunteering, I can just.
Sure, I'll do
put
that.
your name down there.
That's good.
Anybody willing to help Frank?
If nobody else wants to, I'll do safety again.
Sure. Thank you, Brian. Rodeo review?
I'm only here one day.
Don't all jump at once.
Roger, what are you doing this weekend?
Working.
What about you?
So. Practice. I've done it. I did the checklist here last year. I'm not doing it again.
This is rodeo review you're talking about.
I know, I know. What are you working on, Roger?
My actual job, I have to be at work Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, you're real good.
So I'll be in and out when I can escape. So I won't be here consistently, is what I'm saying.
Andy.
What do you need?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, is it for the review?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do review.
Thank you. So anybody willing to help Frank? Okay, Frank, if you need anything, I'm willing to assist you. So I need a review person now. If we don't get a second one, I guess we just won't have one. So I guess we just won't have. So Candy, it's all you.
Okay, it's all good. Y'all won't find the bodies.
I know a lot of places to hide them.
Maybe we won't have any.
Huh.
All right, so is there, while they're counting those ballots, I think that's everything we had for new business. Does anybody have anything else? Right.
I have some new business. At Zia Rodeo this year, we're trying something a little bit different. And we are trying to have an evening performance on Friday and an evening performance on Saturday. that will impact how we do registration. And if there's any questions about it, I'm happy to address those now. The fundamentals of the evening performance is those people following this rodeo. It's sort of like organized volunteerism. Following this rodeo, in standing order in each event, people will be asked to participate in the evening performance. The goal is to just have a few people. It doesn't have to be, it could be 3 barrel racers, 3 pole benders, 5 shoot doggers. Something to just put on a little mini rodeo in the evening. The underlying reason for doing so is because the New Mexico crowd, and I believe crowds in general, don't want to come and sit in the stands from all day long anymore. They want to come in, have a fun, party, and go. So we're going to have a little mini rodeo in the evening, and then a dance and entertainment following. Then the next day we'll have slack on both days, Saturday and Sunday. Questions?
I'll be first. I was thinking about that after, because this came up briefly in Palm Springs, and then I didn't hear details until much, much later. Is this something that we should be doing a variance for?
Well, it is, however, it's too late to do a variance, to the best of my knowledge.
Why does it require a variance?
Random draw. Random draw.
We're willing to take the fine if necessary, whatever it is. We believe that this is the way that we can salvage our rodeos, butts in the seats, and we've discussed it, and we're willing to, if it results in a fine, we're okay with that. We are going to, again, make it voluntary. We're not going to force anybody to participate in the evening. But there are some benefits to it. If you want to do a variance, fine.
Gene, and then, wait, Gene,
If New Mexico's okay with the fine, there's no reason for me to say anything about that. I could care less. And I do get and understand exactly why you're doing it. But my question is about the volunteerism. Are you going to allow anybody to volunteer, or are you going to only accept certain volunteers?
Nope, we're going to start at the top after the standing. So let's say, for example, barrel racing. Okay?
I got you now.
So, for example, in barrel racing, let's say, Roger, you guys are the highest ranking barrel racers. Roger's the highest ranked barrel racer. We'll say, Roger, do you want to perform Saturday night, 5 to 9? Next, do you want to perform Saturday night?
Absolutely.
Fine, so you're in. You're next, it's your choice. Do you want to be in the performance, yes or no? And so on. If we have to go to the bottom of the list, you'll do so. If we don't have any barrel racers, it's okay. The crowd won't know any differently.
Yes. But when are you going to stop going through the list, I guess is my question.
As soon as we get
I'm not
five.
a ranked barrel racer, so I'll not be on that list, so I will not have the opportunity to do the event in the evening performance.
Unless one of the top 5 don't.
Chuck.
Who?
Chuck.
I got you.
Yeah, you had your hand up.
Okay.
There's a list.
So David, just remind me, when Denver did something kind of similar, they kept the randomness of it because they just did the people that were going in this one, et cetera, et cetera. So the variance.
Right, we
here
had
is
a
that
random
because
draw
it's
and we just cut it
selected.
off. But I can understand what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
It's done at most pro rodeos.
Yeah.
Whether there's a fine or not, I don't care. They will go in a random draw, you know, it won't be Roger whatever and whatever unless you want it to be in that specific order. I was thinking it would be random perf and slack for no better.
So if they ask for 10 barrel racers and the 10 highest ranked barrel racers are put into that, then you would random draw from that. And that would still keep it as a random draw. Does that comply to our rules?
I have your name down, Chief. Candy?
I had asked this question, you were gonna ask Will, I wanna know, because of, one rodeo being one day and the rest of that rodeo being the next day, how do they guarantee the placement of everything being the same?
It's an excellent question. The arena grounds are a PRCA grounds, and the barrel pattern is staked.
That's one event, you've got
Yep.
multiple events.
The last pole will be staked and measured from there, and the fences will be marked with stakes.
Okay.
So, because the barrel pattern is staked with metal stakes, and secondly, the arena has a system whereby if we lose the stake, they can triangulate and find the stake in about 2 seconds.
Yeah, and, I mean, well, in prior rodeos, they didn't use those, but you are gonna use the stakes.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay.
May I make a motion?
No, of course.
Yes.
I would like to make a motion that IGRA not be fined for changing their venue. Changing their running order.
I don't think that's, I think a point of order, that's asking for a rule to not be enforced. You can ask for the fine to be waived after the fact, if it's issued, and then you can come and ask for it to be waived, but I don't think you can make a motion to tell us to violate our rules.
I think I can, I really do.
Okay, well, I'm just voicing my opinion, I think it's.
Parliamentarian.
Is it a standing rule or a rodeo rule or a bylaw?
The random draw is a rodeo rule, I think.
The only thing that you may set aside is a standing rule of order. And a rodeo rule is not such and cannot be set aside in anticipation of something.
May I just say, we are completely fine with getting the fine and coming back for discussion and asking for that fine to be rescinded by vote of the board. We're happy to do that. I appreciate your thought, Tom, in advance, but we're here.
Understood.
Michael.
I was going along what David was saying, if the performance has a random draw and the slack has a random draw, I would have thought that the requirement of a random draw taking place would be satisfied, so there would be no need for a fine.
The random draw is based on the performance, not slack or performance as far as the event for that day. The go is what the random draw rule is based on, the go.
Okay, the go starts on Friday night and the go will not finish until the end of Saturday.
Right, so all those contestants should be in the random draw.
They are. And-
At the same time.
Oh.
I don't know if it specifies that.
Well,
I didn't think it got that, to that level of detail, but.
You have to have a way to be able to do both things simultaneously because your rules allow for both. So you have to find a reconciliation.
I'll let you go now because this is your thing.
I just want to remind everybody, we did do this one time at World Gay Rodeo Finals also. So it's not, we're not reinventing the wheel. We did this at a finals, I don't know what year, David.
And I believe we went in slowest to fastest order also,
Yeah,
but we got there.
We will let you all know how it works in terms of drawing a crowd out of the city to come and sit for 2 hours rather than 8 hours.
The rule doesn't get that specific, Chuck. It absolutely doesn't, but at least since I've been around, when we talk about performance and slack, it was as simple as a line draw on the go sheet, on the running order. This is slack and this is performance. But that list was generated all at once. I mean, and I do remember the finals though, and that was a variance, I do remember that.
Okay.
But my concern is only that we're not giving everybody that we're going to not do a random draw as I understand it, so this is my concern. As I understand a random draw, and we're not giving everybody the opportunity to run or do the event when they want to, because we're talking about an evening performance versus the next day, daytime performance, which that next day it may be pouring down rain. I have a hard enough time when it's dry. So as much, if I know it's gonna rain on Saturday, I'd sure as heck like to go Friday night. And so I think it gives an unfair advantage to simply the people who are ranked. And we have two different ranking systems, and so that wasn't determined in what's been said about which one of those systems we're going to use. Is it gonna be the world points, or is it gonna be just our regular points? So that's my only concern, is that it puts the events going on in the possibility of very different conditions. It happens still when it's all run at once, because it can start pouring down rain in the middle of the event. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we would be generating that type of a situation. If everybody had the option to go in the evening and only the people who went in the daytime, then it'd be fine, but we don't, and I'm shutting up right now.
I remember the promise there.
I know, and I didn't.
Tom left. Tom, you had your hand up again, I wrote you down.
Just couldn't do it.
My hand up was for
I
something
almost
that's
made it.
different discussion.
Oh.
Where will registration?
Well, it was part of the session.
For which rodeo?
No, here. Is
Oh,
it in this room?
You had to wait under.
Okay.
You're out of order. Michael Norman?
My understanding is that the running order is going to be set for the first go, and we're simply going to put a line through. And so literally, whatever number of people run on Friday night, we just stop. All the officials will have the same paperwork the next morning, and we pick up where we left off. The only difference is those first people that go Friday night will be determined by a random draw based on where they're placing at this point in the year. But there's not a different running order. We're doing the one running order, and then just putting the people in performance up at the top.
But it's how they're picking the pools. If you're gonna run on random draw this pool versus this pool, it's how those pools are determined, not by entry. No, it's a hand pick.
We're looking for five. We're looking for 5 people, starting with rankings after standings, not rodeo finals, because that's related to money. Standings after this rodeo for the next rodeo. And if I may just make another comment, just left my head.
Now you're listening.
So, I'm gonna try to wrap my head around this. Your registration's gonna take place at what time?
On Friday sometime. I'm not
Friday
sure-
at
I'm
noon,
not sure.
according to the website.
Noon to 3.
Must be
Noon to 3.
Noon to 3.
No, in the afternoon early, or what the information I have from Will, I think
Noon to
it's
3, yeah.
noon to 3 o'clock.
We are gonna try to have everybody volunteered into the evening performance way in advance of registration. So people who are gonna be running Friday evening and Saturday evening are going to know well in advance if they're running Friday evening or Saturday evening.
And that's gonna be based on pre-registration information?
No, that's gonna be based on rankings. So, as soon as we finish with this rodeo, the people start to register. Let's say Roger registers, he's ranked 1 and 2. We'll ask Roger, do you wanna run on Saturday night? No. Then we move to the next.
So you're reaching out to them to basically register for your rodeo?
Well, as the registrations come in, we are gonna ask people to register as quickly as possible if they're planning to come to our rodeo, just to help us out with it. If they don't, we'll still follow the same procedure until the close of registration.
And you're gonna have a full staff of officials and all that stuff, they know what?
It's probably a double set of officials in some cases, yes.
So there'll be no requirement for a new contested meeting on Friday night. The new concession meeting could still be Saturday morning.
Could be though, there could be a requirement for it.
Yeah,
It could be a half an hour
Not
after
likely.
registration closes.
If there is, we'll do it.
Terry.
So the 5 people, are they gonna run both Friday night and Saturday night?
No.
Or is it
No.
gonna be 5 different?
No, there'll be different people for, the idea is Saturday night is the big event. So we'd like to see the top ranked people running during that time. Friday night is sort of like the second big event, so we'd like to see the 6 to 10 people running that time, if they want to. And they can choose to run barrels on one night and poles the next day, for example.
So Friday night's the only nighttime?
Friday and Saturday.
Oh, there isn't Saturday.
Yes.
See the screen.
So it would be 2 in one day.
The idea is that we're trying to appeal to the audience and create a fun, quick show, understanding that most people today don't want to come and sit from 10 o'clock till 5 o'clock to see, what we enjoy, but not what they enjoy. They don't want to see 25 pole benders go and then 25, that's not a show for, and we're trying to save our rodeo.
I thought you told Candy.
I know, but I have to.
Okay.
Oh, I just have a question though, is it, again, I'm gonna say I get it, but if that's the reason, why can't you just draw the line at the 5 that come up in the random draw? If it's strictly because of to make it more appealing, why can't you just have the random draw and draw the 5?
I'll answer that, because we don't want to force anybody who can't come on Friday to come for the Friday night performance. We want to make it voluntary. Hey, I can be there Friday night, I'm coming from Albuquerque, I'm happy to be in your performance. There you go. But we don't want to say, here's the random draw, Gene, you must be here Friday by 6 o'clock to go. When really, you're gonna get off work and then you're gonna come to the rodeo and you can do all your stuff in Slack the next day. So we don't want to force anybody into a Friday or Saturday evening performance. At the same time, trying to balance that with a performance for the audience.
Yeah, okay. My comment is, we are IGRA, we're not the association. We should not try to micromanage them. Let them put it on the way they want to do it. And if you want to fine them, we'll fine afterward. But don't tell them how to run their rodeo.
Bob and then Roger.
Well, my comment was kind of the same as Tom's. Those of us that are trying to put on rodeos and find different ways to get butts in the seats and everything, it's challenging as time goes on and as we go along the line here. So I say, give them the opportunity to show us a different way that we can do this. And maybe it'll work for some of the rest of us and maybe it won't. Or maybe it'll spur some other type of activity that would help us in the future. But instead of just doing the same old year after year, I think trying something is worth it.
Roger? We're batting 3 for 3 for the last 3 comments, because I was gonna say the exact same thing. We're sanctioning their rodeo, we need to be mindful to allow them to run their rodeo.
Yes.
And I appreciate the rule. I was the rodeo director when we did it here in Denver, and I remember Bruce Roby screaming at me at registration because we were trying to separate the slack and the performance. Not screaming, but pointedly talking. And I guess my only question would be, and it's just in the care of our officials, would be, if you're going to not expect everyone to be a Friday registration, are you going to then have a second registration on Saturday?
We are.
Okay. Well, as long
We've
as
kind of been reassured by David and others that they've got, a pretty good beat on how the registration would go. Is that?
Did you know you
I
were
didn't
in
know
charge?
that. That's the first I heard as secretary that there were gonna be 2 registrations.
Surprise!
Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about right now.
No, Will had talked to me about registration, but he never said 2 separate ones, because if there's 2 separate ones, how do we know how much money?
Or you don't pay it until the
Well,
end
we don't pay it till
anyway,
the end, but,
That's not on the calendar. Nobody has said anything to the person who posts the schedule about a Saturday.
It's not worthy of this meeting. I was just, it was a thought that came to my little brain.
Chuck?
I think probably as we currently do, if somebody is unable to make registration on Friday night, if they contact and make arrangements, et cetera, when they get in, they'll get the numbers, sign their documents, et cetera, they should be fine. The person that's in that
And
situation
if they don't
knows.
show up, they owe the money anyway.
Right. If that person is in that situation, they probably are not going to accept the offer to run on Friday night. So there really wouldn't be anything for that except for those individuals.
We are gonna really ask the contestants, if you're gonna come to our rodeo, we need your help to get registered as quickly as possible so we can go through all of this stuff, look at all these bugs, let Ron know what's going on, and move on.
So having everybody said all that, I'll say this. I don't know what's on the website, but I think it's imperative that this is communicated.
I've seen you post it all over the place.
This is communicated to all the officials so that everybody knows who's on first and all that, and to the contestants. And I'm not, at this point, not convinced that it does require a variance, and if a fine would be imposed, but I guess we'll have to play it out and see what happens. At first, it looked like it smelled a variance, but now I'm not certain, so. Thank you for the hearty discussion. We don't announce it, right? So we had 5 people. We didn't have a runoff or anything like that, so the 5 trustees awards will be awarded as they were voted on.
That's what I'm hearing. I'm not saying you do that.
Tom had a question, and I think once that's done, registration, where's registration?
I have no idea where it is.
Up at the Midway. Under the main tent on the Midway.
Got it, thank you.
So unless there's an objection, I will adjourn this meeting at 2:59.
Hallelujah.
Now, the executive board of directors will meet following,
Meeting's
and
adjourned.
we have
Hey,
a
bye.
short agenda, so we let people who want to leave.
yeah.
He's one.
Oh.
Are you a guest?
I need to sign the trustees.
I guess Guy had to go, so the rest of us
No.
should wait.
DB, you
Oh, that, okay, that.
Now you have this one too. You could have confused me.
Well, what is that?
That one's for this one.
Yeah.
That's for last one.
Yeah, they got.
Right?
They made it right there.
Costco, man.
I'll keep you straight, Ron, it's okay.
Mr. Jaff, you're gonna be late to your first meeting if you don't sit down.
It didn't say where.
If it's gonna be like this, then you don't get a present.
For the executive board. What happened to that?
I think Guy's got to sign this.
Well, Barbara, the tablecloth all of a sudden started falling from down there.
It is 3:05, and I call to order this
Gonna breathe
meeting of
under
the
it?
Executive Board of Directors of the International Gay Rodeo Association. I would like to welcome our newest member, Roger Jack, in addition to trustee vice chair. Welcome to your first meeting on the Executive Board of Directors. At this time, I'll ask the secretary to call the roll.
Bruce Grove.
Here.
Jason Bernard. Here. Ron Trustley here. David Hill.
Here.
Guy Capelisi. Here. Franklin Thompson.
Here.
Barbara Bug.
Here.
Roger Jack.
Yep.
Thank you. Sounds like all present and accounted for. The first item of business is the approval of the minutes or consideration for approval of the minutes of the June 15, 2016 conference call. I hear a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
He said it was
It's
so much
moved and
excitement.
seconded. Is there any discussion on the Question to approve the June 15, 2016 conference call minutes. There being no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion passes, and those minutes are approved. As far as old business is concerned, Barbara, you have managed not to, don't go anywhere.
I'm not going anywhere.
You're right, you're going right here. Barbara, you have missed being with us for all of our little fun meetings and things like that. This is a present from our first meeting. Please pass it down to Barbara.
Oh, that was.
And Roger, this is a little welcome to you for our Executive Board of Directors. The Executive Board of Directors is charged primarily, among other things, with watching the finances of the organization. And I remind you all that we can do anything we want as long as it's within our charitable purpose and we can pay for it.
Okay, thanks. That's very pretty. I'm gonna sit
Put it on a towel.
Just throw it on the floor.
All right. We have one item of business on our agenda, and that is consideration of nominees for the Wayne Giacchino Western Lifestyle Award. And at this time, I will ask that you take us offline, Frank. Need attention at this time. You can take us back on, Frank, for now. Ron?
In regards to the rough stock progressing prize pool, I would like to move that, let me think, make sure I'm saying it correct. I would like to move that money that has not been won at the end of the rodeo year be carried over to the next rodeo year. Is that the proper word?
Certainly fine. We'll take that. We may have to go backward a little bit in time, take another item. The motion is that any money not awarded from the progressive prize pool at the end of the rodeo year roll into the next rodeo year. Is there any discussion on that? I do.
I'll second.
Thank you. You asked, she did it. Appreciate that. Now it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Is RMR still the only rodeo participant?
You're the first rodeo to participate. I pointed out the fact that they'll probably be $1,000 ready to go to the next one that participates. So, any further discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion for any money remaining in the prize pool at the end of the rodeo year to roll over to the next rodeo year, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion passes, and that's what will happen. Now, what needs to happen antecedent to that, before that, is we need to determine whether or not we are going to commit to carrying that program into the next rodeo year.
I will make that motion that the rough stock progressive prize pool continue into next rodeo year.
And I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and second to do so. Is there any discussion?
They just think of ways to get more associations to do that participate.
Absolutely, we do. I suspect that once there's a little money in the till, it'll start taking care of itself.
We will now because it wasn't for our rodeo.
Yeah. Okay. Any other discussion on that motion? None appearing, all in favor of the motion to continue the rodeo progressive prize pool in the next year, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The motion carries, and we'll do that. We'll need to do the same consideration for the other three items in order to give certitude to associations of what we're going to do. But we may, I think, reasonably expect to handle those later in the year where we might decide whether we need to make any changes to them. But for this, I think it's very important that we go ahead and come out and say we've made that commitment. Thank you, Ron, for bringing that to our attention today.
Almost tonight.
Just feel like tonight.
Now, the only other thing that I want to bring up to us is that we made now a decision about where to go for World Day Rodeo Finals. We have not selected the dates, and we've not made the commitments on the contracts, nor have we made any staffing and personnel decisions about that. The site has 2 dates available to us. Would you please give those to us, Lisa?
It was 13 through 15, 27 through 29.
And the 27th through 29th of October of next year. Now, obviously, we're gonna, want to get as much information together as possible, but do we have guidance we want to give to the committee as they solicit from the hotel and the venue and all that, everything between the choice of those two dates, which we prefer?
The important item is when's the last rodeo of the year?
We have to be 17 days after that. So on our rodeo calendar,
It's just I put my computer away.
Frank is calling it up right now.
Oh, yeah, I'll be Sacramento.
Frank, what is our last rodeo date for
15 through 17 September.
and count 17 days thereafter should be the 3rd or 4th. So, okay, thank you.
So it'd be the
So either
4th of
day.
October.
I have a question.
Either date fits.
I have a question. On that the list you're looking at, is that the Bug of the Bay rodeo?
Sierra.
Okay. Just want to make sure in case the Sacramento wasn't there.
17, okay.
And that was
Lisa, will you repeat the dates available to us, please?
We're looking at 27.
13 through 15 or
Yes.
27
Wait a
through
minute,
29.
13 through
that.
15?
Yes.
Or 2017?
Yes.
That's what it says.
November?
No, no, October. for
October.
finals.
Okay.
November.
Should be October for finals.
Okay, that's fine.
Here's the whole, here's the
No,
whole
I was on
Well, I just need to, I can't spot the one piece of information I need.
right there.
Thank you.
13 through
15 through 17.
Or 27th.
It's 27th.
Okay, so between the 13th, the 15th, or the 27th to the 29th, do we have a preference of what we want to guide the committee in?
13 through 15.
I mean,
Okay.
wait,
I would say
I can say
13 to
it.
15 personally.
I just, safety considerations for those traveling with trailers and horses. The towing paths can be fairly tricky to navigate late in October, beginning in November,
Okay.
and I would suggest that earlier.
And Ron, I believe I saw your hand in the air as well.
No, I was just gonna agree with the earlier dates, because I think the earlier is better, so that convention is not so late in the year too.
Okay. So, Lisa, you have, if you'll carry that information back to the committee.
That'll be a total of-
And I would ask you to, expedite this as quick as you can in getting everything, to us contract-wise, so we can review contracts and make a commitment. And I just need 5 days advance in order to be able to get it presented for approval, okay?
But did you
Do y'all not accept this as a contract?
It's not complete, we don't have the hotel, we don't have all the pricing, we don't have everything and ready to sign.
Or you want both?
I want the whole package. We can't commit to go to an arena if we got no place to stay.
So you want our committee to pick the hotel too?
I want you to go to your source and present us what you consider to be the most viable choice and present it to us for consideration. Yes, please.
Did we pick a date?
It is nice if we stick
13
to.
through 15.
Thank you.
Okay. We have delegated Jason to liaise with the World Gay Rodeo Finals Committee to give us guidance about how we want to go about selecting the full team of directors and get people into the program for next year. And frankly, we need this,
Yesterday.
I think they're so busy working on finals right now that there really hasn't been any conversation in that direction.
Well, we need to nudge a little in that direction, because we've got to put word out there, we've got to attract candidates, we've got to be able to go through whatever process we want. And we have to be able to know what we're gonna expect of people to get through that. So, we really need to move along with that. Since much of the committee is here this weekend, perhaps we can have some informal and side conversations to help move that along. Are we ready to make any determinations with regard to any of our current people, or do we need to wait on that subject?
You mean rodeo director?
Yep.
I move Lisa Smith.
We have a motion to appoint Lisa Smith as the 2017 director.
Second.
There's a second. Is there any discussion on that?
Are we gonna, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Usually I thought when we did that, we got the recommendation from the finals committee and we looked at all the information, they checked on that.
We have not got an established procedure for doing this, okay? We've been working to try to figure out how we're going to do that. I have conferred with the chair of the committee, whose recommendation we solicit on this topic. And he has assured me that in his view, Lisa is prepared for assuming the task. Okay? We don't ask the entire committee to do that. In the years past, we've actually had them evaluate and rate one another in various things. We have not done that in this instance. Does that answer your question? Okay.
We're back online.
Frank, are we online now?
Yes.
Will you take us off, please?
Okay.
You're laughing.
Is there anything else that we want to discuss or handle in the Executive Board of Directors today? Ron?
I would like to ask a question, and you tell me if I need to do something or if I'm out of order, please.
Oh, good, I love that.
I know you do. It has to do with awards. And I didn't want to bring it up in the whole board meeting for a lot of reasons. But there are 2 other awards that we didn't do anything on yet. And I understand last year, it never went to the board, which is in our standing rules. So I just need clarification for the 2 people on these. Media award, it says, you know, it's done by recommended by the public PR person and determined by board of directors. The website determined by board of directors upon recommendation of Internet Technology Committee. The PR person is not ready to do anything yet, and to my knowledge, we don't have an actual Internet Technology Committee anymore.
We don't.
So are we just going to allow those 2 people to, when they're ready, give me their nomination in time to get the awards without taking it back to the board of directors?
You know, I honestly can't remember without going back to last year's minutes to know exactly what we did. But those 2 essentially determine the award, and it does say recommended and determined by the board of directors. So,
and I think we did change that.
But because it says that now, and this is bylaws and not standing rules, correct?
No, it's standing rule.
Okay, well, it being a standing rule of order, we can choose to suspend it if we feel that it's not going to harm the, the order of things. I anticipate we're going to have a special board of directors meeting between now and then anyway. And you probably need at least 45 to 60 days out to make sure that production is done on the thing.
Well, I think if we 30 days out for 2 awards would be fine.
Okay.
Get all the rest of them in and just add those 2.
Sure. Then what I would say we should do from a practical perspective for this year is let those people know that we need them by such and such a date. If we come up with a special board of directors meeting that we know we're going to have, let's see if we can get it on the agenda for that, so that the board itself can function properly to approve those awards. And then let's bring forward a change to have those just determined by the committee itself in the future.
So you don't need a motion or want a motion to suspend these rules for now then?
For now, I don't, because I think there's ample time for us to do it according to the ordinary rule. And, it's assigned to the board of directors, so I don't want to act to have anybody but the board of directors do it without necessity.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense? And thanks for bringing that up. And this is one of the problems with having this July meeting so darn early. Yeah. Anything else? Yes? Barbara's aiming for the door, so.
I don't know if I zoned out earlier, but was there a report on convention?
There was not. We have not seen her yet to receive that.
And because Lori King is asking, she's listening.
What is she asking?
Primarily, she's looking for hotel information and if there's a show for the airport. I think we had a similar conversation recently, so I don't know if there's anything online yet.
There's not yet. I gave you the room rates, and I don't know what they are, but I can't recall the answer on the shuttle.
But if you tell me the hotel, I can give that to her.
Wyndham Garden.
Anyone know the room?
Sure. And there's more than one Wyndham Garden, but,
Rhonda has books.
Yeah, I have some questions. Couldn't get past final. Wyndham Garden Hotels, Woodward Conference Center. Woodward Conference Center, 3401 South Highway 35 in Austin. And the room rate is $99 for run of the house.
and there are certain suites we'll be able to upgrade
That's what I want to talk to you this week.
but it'll just be for, you know, like the executive staff and stuff like that.
And the file code is IGRA.
So there you have it, okay?
Do you want the phone numbers?
Sure.
512-448-2444. Or 512-443-4208.
So, wouldn't it be a good idea to get our information on the website sooner
Of course it
rather
would
than
be.
later? Because, I mean,
Should be.
Yes, yes, it would be.
That's part of what I want.
we already booked our flights. I don't know.
Yes, it really should be on by now. It should be up by now.
I think we'll try.
And because block of sleeping rooms are held until 21 days prior to arrival or October 26th. And
October 26th.
yes. And as far as concessions, it doesn't say anything about a shuttle that I see in here anywhere.
I know they used to until they started that big international one out there, so they moved it. And a lot of the hotels stopped their shuttle service.
That's going on a lot, but, you know, yeah.
When I lived there, they had it. They had services.
Yeah, we got shuttle.
Well, we're not going to your place right now.
She
And
forgot
we're
to
not
tell you
walking from the
that.
Anything further? I appreciate you all being here today. With no further business appearing, the Executive Board of Directors will adjourn at 3:38 p.m.
Yay! That wasn't as torturous as I thought it would be.
It rarely is in this meeting.